now could be winds gusting over 60 miles per hour, over 58, but they could produce a tornado at any time. Still some circulation with this one near Hazard, but these are not in our southeast Kentucky viewing counties. This is Harlan County, Kentucky, so that's our furthest east and north one, so none of these are under that. But I will say earlier, the storm that came through Somerset, unbelievable photos we were getting out of this. This was one of the photos from Kim Goff that she sent us from that tornado in Somerset. We're getting reports of a lot of damage up there. We've got a crew that is on the way. But from Somerset to London, kind of right along the Cumberland Parkway near I-75, reports of a lot of damage along that way. There's still a tornado watch that's in effect for basically our entire area that goes until 4 a.m. for at least another 3 hours. And even though Cocke and Greene County, you're not officially included, there's still the possibility that we could see some severe thunderstorms. In fact, we're just starting to see some severe thunderstorm warnings pop up along our plateau counties and even up into portions of southeast Kentucky. And meteorologist Matt Condon here with us to talk more about those. Matt.
Yeah, Ken. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Fentress County. That continues until 12:30 Central Time, so roughly 30 more minutes. Remember, Fentress County in Central Time, so until 12:30 there. And a brand new severe thunderstorm warning was issued northern Morgan County, including Sunbright and also parts of Scott County. So Oneida, Winfield, and Huntsville under the severe thunderstorm warning. So what this is really in place for is for this line of storms that's pushing south and east. Winds gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour will be possible. And so as a result of that, trees can get knocked down and power outages are possible. The line is just starting to move into northern Fentress County. You can see the pavement pounding rain that stretches from Byrdstown just south of Salina and over towards Gainsboro. And this will continue to push south and east. And there's the potential for damaging winds out ahead of it. This is the line that we've been talking about for the last several days. And this is what we're going to be tracking for the next several hours as it continues to traverse through the plateau, eventually into the valley and making its way to the Smokies over the next several hours. So heavy rainfall also could lead to some localized flooding in spots. The pavement pounding rain totals could add up fairly quickly, especially for the northern part of our area where we already had some storms roll through earlier this afternoon. But we will have the chance of seeing damaging wind gusts. At this hour, the immediate concern would be for Fentress County. Again, severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 12:30 Central Time, and also severe thunderstorm warning for northern Morgan County and parts of Scott County as well. Notice the line does stretch up into southeast Kentucky. No official severe thunderstorm warning with it, but this is still a strong storm. So while we may not reach 60 miles per hour, gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour, certainly a possibility through parts of McCreary County and Whitley County, and that continues to push south and east. So up next for some of those stronger winds beyond where we have the severe thunderstorm warning in place right now will be parts of Campbell County, so Jellicoe, La Follette, and eventually down towards Wartburg and Cumberland County as well. So we'll be watching this line over the next several hours as it continues to push in. You can also see there is even pavement pounding rain, but even the low threat for some hail as well. At this point, there's not a lot of rotation with this segment of the line. Most of this is just going to be a straight line wind event as it continues to push through the plateau and eventually make its way throughout the entire area. So for now, we have the severe thunderstorm warning for Fentress County until 12:30, and our newest severe thunderstorm warning is for parts of Scott County and Morgan County. That also expires at 1:30. So roughly 30 more minutes for this severe thunderstorm warning, but we're likely going to see additional warnings get issued as this entire line continues to push south and east. So heavy rainfall and the threat for damaging winds ahead of the line. So at this point, it's really knocking on the doorstep of Jamestown and Allert and up towards Oneida. So right there along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line, just starting to make its way into parts of East Tennessee. So we still have several more hours where the threat of damaging winds will be the highest threat, but also that low-end threat for an isolated tornado as this line continues to push throughout the entire area. But we'll be watching the storms on the plateau. We're also keeping a close eye on those storms that are just north of our viewing area in parts of southeast Kentucky. Let's go back on over to those. Ken, we'll toss it back on over to you.
Yeah, Matt, I'm watching those in southeast Kentucky. As of right now, the Weather Service out of Jackson, Kentucky has these listed as what's called a special weather statement. Basically means it's just below severe criteria, which by definition is 58 mile per hour winds or greater and or 1 inch in diameter hail or larger. So they're thinking that it's just below that status, and by looking at it, I would agree, but we could still be seeing easily some 40 to maybe 50 mile per hour wind gusts right along this line, and it's moving over I-75 right now through portions of Whitley County. So from Williamsburg up to Corbin, just make sure you're in a safe structure as these come through, just again because of the wind potential. So the southern edge of this right now, Stearns at 106, McCrary Central High School, Middle School, Pine Knot Elementary, all those right around that 107 to 108 time frame, so coming up in the next 3 minutes. And then it'll be crossing over I-75. I'll go a little further north on the edge of this storm. Some other impacted areas will be Clio 113, University of the Cumberlands at 115, and Whitley County Central Intermediate. That's going to be about 115. Then just a little further north up there, the northern part of Whitley County, that line, that segment there, Faber right about now, Seiler at 113, Lynn Camp Elementary and High School right there at the 113 to 114 time frame, in Arkell at 116. So again, this is not an official severe thunderstorm warning, but probably just below that wind-wise, potentially could be gusting 40, maybe 50 miles per hour. And our storms to the north, still seeing a little bit of rotation with this one. That's outside of our viewing area, but it is near Hazard, and that's moving eastward, getting close to the Kentucky border. So I'll keep an eye on that. Storm developing near Harlan. Nothing too impressive right now, but something to watch. I still think this one southeast of Hazard could still potentially be seeing some rotation. In fact, we could take a look. Again, it's outside our area, but that cell right there, just southeast of Hazard, I'd say there's at least the potential that we're seeing maybe a funnel cloud or at least a rotating wall cloud with that cell as that's moving to the east, still looking pretty potent. But again, the only advisories we have for our southeast Kentucky counties is basically all of them except Harlan. So it's this entire area, McCrary, Whitley, Knox, and Bell counties. It's called a special weather statement, which basically means that could be seeing winds just below severe criteria, but this could still be doing some damage. So let's just make sure you're in a safe spot here. Plus, it's moving over the same areas. We're still getting very heavy rainfall where they're probably still trying to do some search recovery efforts from the tornado that came through the Somerset area and London not too long ago. Had some unconfirmed reports maybe near the airport in London of some damage, and some reports of quite a bit of damage back towards the Somerset area as that tornado moved through. But we're not out of the woods yet. A little bit longer, Matt, as this line continues to move south and east. But what's it looking like on the southern edge of that line, that where we have the warnings now, the severe thunderstorm warnings for Fentress and Scott County, is it?
Yeah, and I just got a report actually in Overton County. That's outside of our viewing area, but in Livingston right now, some nickel and dime size hail is falling. So the potential's there for some hail. That is sub-severe. Usually you want a quarter size hailstone or larger. That's where you start to get to severe hailstones. And this is more so a damaging wind threat than hail, but you can see how we have just a yellow shading. This is our hail potential. When you start to see the yellows, that indicates a little bit better of an opportunity for some hail. Not overly strong or not a large indication that we're seeing some of that larger severe hail, but still the potential's there near Livingston through Overton County. But I point that out because we could have some hail through parts of Pickett County, and that could drift into northern Fentress County. So the chances there for some at least smaller hail north of Jamestown, northern Fentress County at this hour. But the big concern with at least this line is going to be the damaging wind threat as it continues to move through the area. So you can see the heavy rainfall stretching from Overton County into Fentress County now, stretches back into northern Scott County, McCrary County as well. So your damaging wind threats right now approaching Jamestown and Allert and out ahead of that. So up next would be southern Fentress County, so eventually down towards Clark Range and pushing into northern Cumberland County eventually, but no official severe thunderstorm warning for Cumberland County at this hour. Also, northern Morgan County, we'll be watching this line as well through parts of Sunbright. So along Morgan County Highway, eventually reaching there to have the potential for some damaging wind gusts, and also through parts of Scott County as well. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can kind of see where some of the potentials there at this hour as well for some of the damaging wind gusts. So over again towards Allert, Tench, the opportunities there for some damaging wind gusts as this line continues to push south and east, and over towards Stanley Junction, Huntsville, Robbins Elementary, and eventually down towards Glades, Sunbright, Deer Lodge as well. So now you're talking about getting into areas in parts of Morgan County. This severe thunderstorm warning continues for 30 more minutes until 12:30 Central Time for Fentress County, and until 1:30 Eastern Time for parts of Scott and Morgan County. And this is likely just our first opportunity for severe thunderstorm warnings for the night for East Tennessee. Pavement pounding rain as well through northern Fentress County, but the damaging wind threat arrives before the rain gets there. So the rain's really moving in after the big threat for damaging winds, because what happens is these thunderstorms, they have the winds gusting out ahead of them. So it's ahead of this line, really areas south and east of the line. That's where your greatest potential for damaging wind gust is. But also we'll watch out for the threat for some smaller hail and also that localized flood threat as this heavy rain continues to push through the area. Keep in mind, obviously, it's a bit more challenging to see at night without the sun, and we have that pavement pounding rain, which can drop visibility. So likely a more difficult drive than normal through parts of northern Fentress County right now, and also in northern Scott County. That's some of that heaviest rainfall pushing towards Oneida. So likely some gusty winds in that area as well. Wind field, and that will continue to push again south and east. Let me zoom out for just a minute so you can get a better picture. We're talking about storms in southeast Kentucky and the Plateau, and I'm going to switch back over to the radar based in Morristown. You can see the rest of the area fairly quiet at this hour. This line is just starting to make its way into our area. So we have the severe thunderstorm warning on parts of the Plateau, but for much of the valley and the Smokies, we're quiet for now. That will change over the next several hours. This entire line is going to push south and east, making its way through the area, bringing that potential for damaging winds as it continues to move through. Still a low-end threat for an isolated tornado, but the winds are going to be the main concern as this line continues to push through the area. We do have a couple isolated showers out ahead of the line. We'll watch those as well to see if those eventually become stronger storms, but the main concern or the main potential for damaging winds and the main potential for severe weather is going to be this line as it continues to push through the area. So that's what's happening really across the area. This is really just the start of this line that's going to be pushing through the area. It's also pretty humid outside. There's a lot of energy for storms to tap into, Ken, and so we'll have to watch this line as it continues to push through the area. But I know we have our camera there in Crossville. What's going on in parts of Cumberland County right now?
Keep an eye on this, Matt. No active warnings for Cumberland County. The storms, the strongest storms, as he mentioned, are just north up into Fentress. But I'll keep an eye on this. I wanted to see if there was any lightning off in the distance with some of the storms. But notice the winds; they're still pretty brisk with the flags blowing there. And Matt mentioned the fuel. There is still quite a bit of fuel even here at 1 o'clock in the morning. You're in between that low and medium, so there untapped energy really across the area for today. But if you go back just a little further to the west, you can see how the fuel is kind of shut off. So again, that's the storms that have moved through here have eaten up all that fuel. They've used it up. It's a car that's run out of gas. But areas here in East Tennessee, since we've not had a lot of storm activity yet, there is still the opportunity for some of these storms as we go over the next couple of hours. And we do have a tornado watch basically for everybody that goes until 4 o'clock. So a little more than 2.5 hours from right now, getting close to 3 hours before that expires. If these continue to move as quickly as we're expecting, though, maybe just before 4 o'clock, we would see that end. All right, looks like the Weather Service up there in Kentucky has added Harlan County now to the special weather statement. So they don't have severe thunderstorm warnings for these, but anywhere from Whitley County, north and east, where this is going to include Bell and Harlan now as well. So McCrary still under it, Whitley, Knox County, Kentucky, Bell, and Harlan County, all under this special weather statement, it's called. And that's a potent line of storms moving through. Not only are you going to have winds maybe gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour, so just below severe limits, still could do some damage, obviously, but that is a lot of rain. And we know as this gets a little bit further to the east, places like Middlesboro to Pineville, a little bit lower elevation areas, we can see some flooding with this. So keep that in mind as well if you're going to be traveling over the next couple of hours as this continues to move quickly off to the south and east. That line probably moving east at about 40 to almost 50 miles per hour in itself. So anytime you have forward motion of a line of storms that quickly, it's going to see winds gusting to almost those equivalent amounts as well. So that is certainly a possibility. Now, further to the north, we still have the severe thunderstorm warnings outside of our viewing area in Kentucky, and these continue to move east as well. The one near Hazard, a little more ragged compared to earlier, and what I mean by that is not showing that tighter circulation like it was about 15, 20 minutes ago. So that is good, but still could be some very strong winds. And further to the west, where we've had those reports of damage back into Somerset, we're still getting some very heavy rainfall there. Matt mentioned a couple of pop-up showers and storms like we're seeing there into the Kentucky area, or excuse me, Southwest Virginia there into Lee County. So we'll keep an eye on that. Not a whole lot of activity with these. I mean, again, they're in that untapped fuel to develop, so we have to watch those that develop out ahead of the line, but I'm not seeing anything right now that's really drawing my attention. So Matt, I'll continue to keep an eye on that. Give me an update on some of those storms again further to the west, like Fentress County up into Scott County. What are you seeing with those?
Yeah, so the line continues to push on the plateau, and like we talked about just a few minutes ago, I'm going to move this camera again so you could see. We talked about the potential for some hail just outside of our area, and where the yellows would show up on our hail potential. You can see that now just east or just west of Livingston, and had some reports of some hail in that area. So some small hail possible through northern Fentress County, also into parts of southeast Kentucky as this line continues to push through the area. So we're looking at this line. We're going to zoom in into parts of Scott County right now, where the severe thunderstorm warning does continue for roughly another 15 minutes until 1:30 this morning. So Winfield, Oneida, you're in the rainfall right now, but that damaging wind threat is approaching Huntsville at this hour. So again, 60-mile-per-hour winds can knock down trees, result in power outages. So the potential is there for some damage through parts of Scott County at this hour. Eventually, this line will push down towards Jeffers, Terry Creek, and over towards Buckeye and Dean. So over towards the Pioneer community in Campbell County, right there along I-75. We'll watch that eventually as this line continues to push south and east. We also are watching in parts of northern Morgan County. That's where the severe thunderstorm warning is also in effect, really for areas north of Wartburg at this hour. Yeah.
Real quick, they're going to do significant weather advisories, it looks like, for the one in Cumberland County, for Cumberland and Fentress.
Okay, so
they're expecting these to weaken a little bit as well, it looks like.
Hey, that's some good news. We'll take it. So we could still see winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour. So what Ken's talking about is replacing the severe thunderstorm warning with really a sub-severe weather statement, winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour likely. You really need winds 58 miles per hour or greater. That's the severe criteria. So there's still a threat for some gusty winds nonetheless, also the heavy rainfall and the potential for some small hail as well through parts of Fentress County, and we'll continue to watch this line as it approaches northern Morgan County. So for right now, the severe thunderstorm warning does at least continue for parts of Morgan County into Scott County until 1:30 this morning. So a few more minutes. Really areas north of Wartburg from Morgan County, and then Huntsville, Oneida, and Winfield. But really that damaging wind threat is ahead of the line. So up next would be Clark Range, southern Fentress County, and also eventually towards Sunbright as the line continues to push throughout the entire
moving east at 40, winds could or moving east at 50, winds could gust up to 40.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So that, you can see it there, just popping up there for southern Fentress County. So we'll watch the line as it continues to push through the area onto the plateau at this hour. You can see, like we talked about, there are additional showers really south of this line near Fairfield Glade, Crossville tapping into some rainfall, even a shower near Wartburg at this hour. But it's going to be this line as it continues to push south and east. That's where you have your damaging wind threat. And that line is what stretches up into parts of southeast Kentucky. So for now, we're focused in on southeast Kentucky, the plateau. That's where the immediate severe weather concern is. But we'll have to watch it as it continues to push throughout the entire area. So,
hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I want to just come back to me for just a second. I want to watch a couple of these storms. There's Manchester, Tullahoma. So this is southern Bledsoe, Soddy Daisy, Red Bank. We're looking just north of the Chattanooga area. I want to focus on these cells. I don't like the way they look. They're kind of individual cells by themselves ahead of that line, and they're moving to the east. So I'm going to keep an eye on these coming up in the short term as they're going to get a little closer to Bledsoe County. At least looks like we may be seeing some rotation. I'm going to stop this, bring it up to the current. Maybe we're seeing some broad rotation on the backside of this, just east of I-24. But again, these individual cells, we talked about this earlier. The environment untapped. We've got a lot of fuel. We haven't seen many storms through the area, but when the individual cells pop up ahead of the line, sometimes those are the ones that have the potential to produce tornadoes. Not saying they will, but I do want to keep a close eye on this cell that's approaching the Dunlap area right now. So moving to the east at about east-northeast at 40. Again, these it's not even a severe thunderstorm warning at this point, but something that needs to be watched, I would say, Matt, the two cells just east of I-24 moving to the east. Even the one a little further north there, just west of Cumberland County. Anytime they just have the little appendages on them, kind of drawing my attention to them. So I will keep a close eye on these and see how these evolve over the next couple of hours. But again, the ones to the west, I guess it's a little bit better seen that we were just getting a special weather statement for Cumberland County and for Fentress County with that line coming through. Maybe they're talking about these individual cells here, Matt, that may have the potential to see some wind gusts. But it's probably a combination of two. I bet it's the line that's coming through that could be producing those winds maybe near 40 miles per hour. But the line's moving east at 50. We talked about that. So if the whole line is moving east at 50 miles per hour, what we can do is kind of give you an estimate of when this could be in some spots. So if it were to kind of stay on the same path and timing, we're looking at about an hour and a half that it could be in the Knoxville area. So that would put it close to the 3 o'clock hour, which is probably right on track because, again, the watch goes until 4. So they think this whole line could push through the area by then. Now, what'll be interesting to see is if these individual cells continue to develop and move eastward, eventually they would be overtaken most likely by the whole line, unless they continue to move out ahead of that line. And if they do, that's a little more problematic. That's what we would have to worry about, those individual cells. So again, just because we don't have many warnings out there, we have some severe thunderstorm warnings, it's the individual cells, Matt, that we need to just keep a close eye on, especially as we go over the next couple of hours.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. And I just want to let you know we have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning issued. This will remain in effect through 1:45 this morning. It includes really the eastern half of Scott County through Campbell County into Claiborne County. So again, we're talking about the same line that's moving through the plateau at this hour. National Weather Service has extended the warning. We're talking about areas right along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line, so through Jellicoe, Pioneer, really La Follette northward into parts of Claiborne County, also still impacting parts of Scott County as well. I do want to show you something where we're talking about the threat for some hail and even just a stronger storm, where we have, again, we were talking about this for Overton County, some of these yellows and oranges showing up. There is the threat. We're also seeing, again, that potential for some hail, but really the damaging wind threat's the main concern. This is popping up. It's a good indication that we have at least a stronger storm near Winfield right now, hugging right along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. This is our computer model. It's estimating potentially a hail size of 1 inch would be severe. But remember, we're looking up really high in the atmosphere, so can't tell you that an inch hailstone is actually reaching the ground. But would not be surprised if we had some small hail through northern Scott County right now, near Oneida and Winfield. And this will continue to be right along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. So some estimated times of arrival for you. Newcomb by around 1:36 this morning. Oswego by 1:36 as well. Jellicoe Christian Academy right there around 1:37. And then Black Oak School around 1:37 as well. So this is really hugging the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. Northern Scott County right now, eventually pushing into Campbell County. So up next would be Jellicoe, for example, and really areas north of La Follette under that severe thunderstorm warning. Again, the brand new one continues until 1:45. But the strongest storms right now are just starting to make their way onto the plateau, moving through Scott County right now, and they've just started to move into Morgan County as well. You can see some of the heavy rainfall pushing towards Sunbright at this hour. So this right here is going to be your potential for some damaging winds as it continues to push south and east.
And so, Matt, that one, right there between Pine Knot and Winfield probably has some pretty decent sized hail with it, by the way.
Yeah, and that's what the computer at least was picking up, where you, again, like we just talked about, the yellows and the reds coming together. At least the computer model is estimating that the hail size was roughly around 1 inch, so that's the potential there. But we'll also watch the threat for some damaging winds as well as this line continues to push really through the, moving on to the plateau at this hour. We're also watching it still through northern Fentress County, still not as strong as maybe it once was. That's why the National Weather Service dropped it to a sub-severe special weather statement. But still, the threat's there for some gusty winds. But I'd say the strongest part of the storm right now really stretches from Sunbright right up into parts of southeast Kentucky. You can see the bright reds indicating the heavy rainfall and the threat for some hail as well. We can try and look back here This is really where your threat for the potential's there for some hail. Again, our computer estimating the hail size could be around an inch, and also estimating that the storm's moving roughly to the east around 50 miles per hour. So this is a fast-moving storm, and the threat's there for some gusty winds as well. Latest scan dropped the hail size, at least its estimate, below sub-severe criteria, but still, the threat's there for some hail right along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. So through parts of McCreary County, really south of Pine Knot, into northern Scott County near Winfield. Just eventually making its way towards Broyles around 142, Newcomb around 143, and eventually to Jellicoe Elementary School. So really hugging the state line. Kentucky here, Tennessee here. Again, the brand new severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 1:45 this morning. Ken, if we can, let's toss it back on over to you.
Yeah, I want to still, again, just kind of drawing my attention to it when I see these two lone cells here. This is I-24. So it's east of Manchester, west of Dunlap. There's Chattanooga. There's Red Bank. So we're talking I-75. So still not even in our viewing area, but there's Bledsoe, Ray, Meigs County. They're not technically in our viewing area, but I know we have some people that can watch us. But those two cells kind of by themselves keep an eye on as they move east. Otherwise, let's just take a look in and around the Knoxville area and see what's going on. There are some showers showing up in Morgan County near Wartburg, a couple of cells near Crossville. Let's go back to the camera real quick and just see if anything is showing up there in the Crossville area. So I'm going to turn the camera back just a little bit. I saw a lightning flash there. So I'm going to turn it back a little bit more towards the southwest, and we should be able to look back more towards where those storms would be coming from. So I'm just going to turn the camera just a little bit here. You'll see it move here in a second. And we'll look back towards the kind of southwest and see if we can pick up any more of the lightning flashes that we were seeing just a couple of minutes ago from those cells. They're not severe, but they had that special weather statement on them. Maybe some winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour. Still a little bit of ways away, though, from Cumberland County at this point. We'll go back real quick. So you see the ones there in southern Cumberland County. I'm going to switch the radar here just to take a look. So yeah, it just looks like a lot of rain that's showing up. Let's see if we've got any lightning. There's a couple of strikes just within this field of view. So Hale Mill, Lantana area, so that's going to be southwest of the downtown Crossville area. So a couple of recent lightning strikes there. Again, we'll go back for just a second and see if we see anything. We'd be looking right back into that storm, by the way. Didn't look too concerning at this point, but it's going to be noisy as these storms come through, whether it's heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, going to be vivid as well, maybe even some hail. But again, showed you this a minute ago, still quite a bit of storm fuel across much of the area, right down I-75 between Athens and Loudon. The brighter yellows getting into oranges. We're seeing that back to the north and west as well. But do you notice kind of back towards Bowling Green, we've used up the storm fuel from earlier. So areas back in there, you may still have some rain and rumbles of thunder, but your severe threat's most likely over with back towards the west, the way it's looking. So again, Matt, I'm going to keep an eye on those storms further to the south and just make sure that they don't sneak up on us, kind of moving into that environment that hasn't really been touched just yet. Did we get a new severe thunderstorm warning now for, is that Campbell, Claiborne, Morgan, Scott to 145? Is that a new one? Or is that the continuation of the same one?
Actually, Ken, that's an update. They're now saying, actually, I'll take it over for just a second if that's all right. They updated it for winds potentially upwards of 70 miles per hour.
Okay.
So this is a really strong storm. You can see why. I mean, the greens really pop off the map here. So through parts of Scott County into Campbell County, so through Jellicoe right now, there is the potential for winds to gust 70 miles per hour. You need a gust of 58 miles per hour to be severe. So we're beyond severe criteria at that point, and that certainly can knock down trees and result in power outages. So the threat's there for some damaging winds right now through northern Campbell County into parts of Scott County, and also the severe thunderstorm warning does include Claiborne County at this hour. It's really for this wall of wind that'll be pushing south and east, and there's the potential for winds to reach the surface of 70 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue for this area. It's really for this entire line that's blowing onto the plateau at this hour. So let me try and give you some estimated times of arrival. We'll click into parts of this storm. So really moving through parts of Campbell County. So like we talked about, Pioneer right around 135, Buckeye around 137. Also make its way towards Daylap around 147 as well. So we're talking about areas through parts of Scott County, Campbell County, eventually into Claiborne County. And it's for this entire line of storms that's pushing through the area. So you can see the heavy rainfall right now stretching from Sunbright in Morgan County right through Scott County into Campbell County. This line, as it pushes south and east, ahead of it, that's your threat for damaging winds. And the National Weather Service just updated it, starting to see the greens on the radar picking up, indicating that winds could gust 60 to even as high as 70 miles per hour. Certainly can result in damage moving through parts of this area. So definitely a more treacherous drive right now along I-75, especially for high-profile vehicles with the threat for winds to gust 70 miles per hour. And that line is really approaching the interstate at this hour, really for areas north of Caryville at this hour. So the threat's there for some damaging wind gusts. It can result in power outages as winds could gust as high as 70 miles per hour.
About the only issue you got to remember too as well, radar beam elevation, you're getting at about 3,500 feet. So that means it's not all the way to the ground. So we're seeing winds at about 3,500 feet off the surface. Doesn't mean they're not coming down to the surface, certainly possible. But let's treat it as if so, right? Because all it would take is just one little downdraft from some of these storms to produce winds like Matt's talking about. But kind of the communities, it's about to cross I-75 right now. I just checked the camera from McLeod Mountain. You really can't see anything. It's obviously too dark, but I just wanted to see if you could see any lightning flashes. I wasn't seeing that. But heads up, Pioneer 136, Elk Valley 141, DeLapp around 148, and the Ivydell at 148 as well. And as Matt mentioned, you see the brighter greens, almost the light blues behind it. So we're seeing some strong winds. You wonder if they'll descend through the cloud and ahead of that storm and get the
and there are some trees down in Winfield, so
okay.
Exactly where the storm
in
just
Scott
blew through.
County. Okay, that makes sense. Where it just came from, yeah. Matt, I'm going to go back real quick. Let's just take a look. Got a couple of cells that are popping up. Nothing to worry about. These are just showers. Maynardville to Luttrell, kind of just south of Norris Lake. A couple into Morgan County as well. Those aren't severe. I still will watch the ones further to the south. The one there in Cumberland County that's southwest of downtown, seeing a lot of lightning with it. I'll leave it here for just a second. The rain obviously not there yet. This is Main Street right through here. That's going south. So we're looking in a southwesterly direction at this point. Not as much. There's some lightning. So there is some that's moving in that direction, but again, that is not severe at this time. The active watch still ongoing till 4 a.m. Eastern or 3 Central Time for Cumberland and Fentress County. That's a tornado watch. That means tornadoes are possible across the area. Doesn't mean everybody's going to see it, but the environment that we're in right now, that potential is there for just about everybody. Quick update, just wanted to see if we have any power issues. Looks like portions of Knox County, Kentucky, about 200 people out. So we'll see if this goes up, especially back into Scott County where Matt just showed that line of storms moving through with those gusty winds. That certainly is going to be possible, I'd say, over the next little bit. I'll continue to keep an eye, Matt, on these cells that are further to the south. Not overly impressive still at this point, but again, they're in an area where we've not had any storm activity for today. And since that line is still so far to the north, these are kind of all by themselves, right? So the further east they can go into this untapped environment by themselves, it's something to keep a close eye on. But Matt, the ones to the north, definitely Scott County, going into Campbell County now, producing the potential for some damaging winds.
Yeah, the winds, and also I was going to show this before the National Weather Service updated to that threat for potentially 70-mile-per-hour winds. But like we were talking about, this is our hail tracker, and it showed at least some hail near Winfield in parts of Scott County. So some hail in that area, also the gusty winds, and as a result, had some reports of some trees down near Winfield and parts of Scott County. This severe thunderstorm warning continues until 1:45. The main threat with it, aside from maybe even seeing some hail, would also be the damaging wind threat, and where you really see the bright greens really popping off the map here. That's winds heading towards the radar, which is based in Morristown. So that's straight line winds blowing into Campbell County at this hour, really the northern part of the county. So through Jellicoe right now, threats there for some damaging winds, but also really pushing areas south and east as well. So La Follette likely getting windier in that area, and you're likely going to notice the winds before the rain actually makes its way to your area. The winds really gust out ahead of the storm. Next would be parts of Claiborne County, really areas north and west of New Tazewell. But there's still the threat. I mean, we're talking about the same line into parts of southeast Kentucky. While we may not have a severe thunderstorm warning in that area for now, there's still a chance for some gusty winds in that area as well. So we're also seeing, again, the strong wind gust right now through Broyles, Wynn Elementary, Newcomb, really the northern part of Campbell County. And we still have the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Scott County as well. It does include Oneida, Huntsville, and eventually, again, this entire line pushing south and east. So we're looking at the winds here, but let me show you the reflectivity. That may be a bit easier to pick up where, again, some of the heaviest rain's falling, and your gusty winds are really going to be as that line blows into the area. So some gusty winds right now near Huntsville. Up next would be La Follette, eventually down towards Caryville, but also really areas east of the line. So blowing through northern Campbell County right now, eventually making its way, if it maintains its strength, towards the Middlesboro area. So up next would be Harrogate, for example, Cumberland Gap, right there along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. So we'll be watching really this segment as it continues to blow through the area. Want to check, but I believe this is the only severe thunderstorm warning that we have in effect for East Tennessee. The other ones that we were watching were able to be expired. Remember, they expired at 1:30. So the one for Fentress County, even northern Morgan County, has expired. The threat for damaging winds right now is really focusing in on Scott County and Campbell County. You can see, like Ken mentioned, additional showers and storms beyond that line, but it's really the line itself that will have to watch the threat for the gusty to damaging wind as the line continues to blow through the area. No rain right now near Knoxville, but eventually this line is going to make its way into the valley, and the threat will be there for some stronger winds as well. So we'll be watching that over the next several hours as this line continues to traverse East Tennessee. Yeah, Ken, let's go.
Hey, Matt, I've got Dominic Webster. He's on the line right now, and he's going up I-75. He's going into Campbell County. We've got him going north up into Kentucky to take a look at what's going on between London and Somerset. But Dominic, you're driving. Where are you on I-75 right now?
Yeah, Ken, we are just south of the Jellicoe exit here on 75, kind of in that area. For folks who are familiar with this area where they're doing a bunch of construction, conditions have continuously deteriorated on our drive up here. About 3 miles back, there were leaves, bunches of leaves getting thrown all across the roadway. Now it's a torrential downpour and a tremendous light show from all the lightning. Wind is whipping across 75 here. The rain coming down pretty hard. And I don't think we're even into the whole meat of this system yet, Ken.
Okay, yeah, there is a severe thunderstorm warning there, Dominic. Strongest winds are from about Jacksboro in Campbell County, right up to where you are near Jellicoe. So you probably were driving right close to that, if not through that. What would you estimate wind speeds would be? Can you guess? Do you know?
Yeah, 40, 45, maybe 50, just based on seeing how some of the water on some of these big rigs is getting whipped off of them as they're, as the water's coming off their wheels and whatnot.
Okay. So
it could be stronger. It's just with all the rain that's coming down, plus all the whitewash from the trucks, it's hard to tell.
All right.
And it looks like we've actually got a massive backup here right now on 75 just outside of Jellicoe. We've got some blue lights. Looks like a state trooper. Not entirely sure what's going on, but we are currently dead stop just outside of Jellicoe.
All right, listen, call me back anytime you need to. I've got my phone here. We'll put you on the air if you see anything. If you need to send me anything, just let me know. But again, please be careful. Dominic is not driving, by the way. He has a photographer with him. He's in the passenger seat, so he's safe, driving safely. But let us know if you find out why it's stopping. I'm wondering if they're not letting people further north because of the damage, possibly. But Dominic, just keep us updated, okay, and be safe.
Will do, Ken. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, that was Dominic Webster again, our reporter there with our photographer. They're driving northward. They're near Jellicoe. He was just saying that the traffic has come to a stop. There are some either local police or state troopers in the area. So he's going to check to see what's going on with that. But Matt, that would make sense. If we've got winds maybe gusting 40 plus miles per hour, that certainly seems plausible.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. And Dominic's right there in the thick of it, moving through parts of Campbell County right now. The heavy rainfall as well. And like you talked about, we have the winds, and also the rain can make driving pretty difficult, especially with the spray off some of the big rig trucks there. So obviously, high-profile vehicles definitely want to take it a little extra slow because the threat's there through Campbell County along I-75 for winds gusting 60 to even 70 miles per hour if the winds from the higher levels of the atmosphere are able to reach the ground. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue for this area for parts of Scott County, Campbell County as well. And really the damaging wind threat, see how the rain at least oriented here more in a north-south fashion, so your gusty winds are going to be ahead of this. So moving through Campbell County at this hour. So you have the brand new severe thunderstorm warning just issued. This will remain in effect until 2:30 this morning. And this does actually stretch for a lot of the area. So you can see we're focused in on the line, but it does include parts of Anderson County, Morgan County, northern Knox County, north of downtown, all of Union County, parts of Claiborne County, it looks parts of Granger County as well.
They're going to warn on the whole line, I think, Matt.
Which would make sense. The
Yeah.
threat's there for damaging winds because the line's moving pretty quickly. Already it has the momentum to result in damaging wind gusts. So the line's moving quickly, winds are strong aloft, it brings those winds down, can easily knock down trees and result in power outages. So we're watching this segment here, pushing through parts of Scott County, Campbell County, eventually into parts of Claiborne County. So up next would be Anderson County, parts of Union County as well. And the severe thunderstorm warning continues until 2:30, and it does include northern parts of Knox County as well. So it's for this line that can produce winds gusting 60 miles per hour as it continues to push through the area. So can result in power outages, knock down trees. There's also a low threat for some hail as well, so we'll have to watch out for that. We actually had some hail reported in parts of Scott County earlier. But I'd say your strongest winds right now are still in parts of Campbell County and in parts of Claiborne County. The radar's picking up at the higher levels of the atmosphere. If it's able to reach the ground, it can knock down trees and result in power outages. But the main threat for the night is going to be damaging straight-line winds and, of course, resulting in damage in parts of the area. And we actually had reports of damage from this specific line near Winfield in parts of Scott County. So already damage has been reported in parts of East Tennessee. So you just want to be paying attention to that as well. It looks like they're issuing another one, Ken. Like you mentioned, the same warning this entire line.
Claiborne, Hancock, Hawkins, Lee, they're just going to go right down the line.
Which would make sense.
Yeah, just they're going to be safe. Again, what they're seeing on radar, winds may be gusting 50 miles per hour, they're going to be safe. It's nighttime. You need to just be safe. Be in a safe, structured area, all right? Don't go out and try to take video. Do it when it's safe after it's gone through. We don't want you to put yourself in any harm. I'm zooming in here to try to get focused. I'm looking back towards the west from downtown Knoxville. Nothing in the area now, even though we're under that severe thunderstorm warning. So I'll keep an eye on this as it gets a little bit closer to our area. But also wanted to take a look back towards Cumberland County. Let me pull up that camera for you real quick. So this is downtown Crossville. The rain has made its way in now. That storm we were following, you can see the wet lens here, some lightning in the background as well. And there's a flash there. And then one look, McLeod Mountain. Again, you can see some of the city lights down below, but I'm looking west here as well. Just wanted to see if had any flashes of lightning with this, as that storm will be making its way through. But right here. So it's getting very close to that McLeod Mountain camera. The one in Crossville, again, downtown, south of Crossville, Lake Tansy area. That's where we're seeing some of that very heavy rainfall. Crab Orchard as well. A couple of cells now in West Knoxville, back towards Farragut, non-severe. But again, they went ahead and warned along that entire line as this is going to drop south and east because of these gusty winds that are potentially going to be moving through. And Matt, this is going to move through fast. I mean, I'd say within this 2 o'clock hour, so in the next 45 minutes or so, this is going to push into Knoxville and areas to the east, the way this is shaping up.
Yeah, the National Weather Service is estimating that this entire line's moving roughly 45 to 50 miles per hour. So already, again, like we talked about, it has the momentum and it brings down some of those stronger winds, can result in getting trees knocked down and power outages. So already this line is moving 45 to 50 miles per hour. So it's already halfway there, really, to produce some severe wind gusts. So the line stretches, the strongest part of this line stretches from Morgan County right through parts of southeast Kentucky. So really it's areas Knoxville northward right now that we're focused in on the threat for damaging wind gusts. We have additional showers and storms like Ken talked about, but it's this line right here where that's the threat for damaging straight line winds and can result in damage. You can see some of these stronger winds where the reds and the greens are getting picked up, again, through Campbell County, so I would say roughly in the area of Caryville and La Follette right now. Eventually, really close to Middlesboro and Harrogate. Next up would be Tazewell and New Tazewell, and also parts of Southwest Virginia, eventually to Hancock County as well. Really, this is the area that would be up next. Eventually beyond Campbell County, we'd be focusing in on parts of Anderson and Union County, especially areas north of Maynardville. So really, the damaging wind threat at this point is south of Jellicoe, south of Oneida. You're kind of over with that, near Middlesboro and pushing south and east. And again, the potential's there for winds gusting 60 miles per hour. And I know we talked about just a few minutes ago, we could have had some winds gusting around 70 miles per hour on parts of the plateau. It doesn't look like the winds are the winds that strong are actually making its way to the ground, but still 60 miles per hour can result in damage.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
I just want to take over real quick for just a second. Dominic Webster, we mentioned it. He was traveling up I-75 to go up and check on the reports of damage back towards Somerset and London. Dominic, got you on live now. You said you were right at the Jellicoe exit there. Tell me what you're seeing.
Yeah, Ken, we're actually just past the Jellicoe exit. In front of me, I can, around all of the semi-trucks that are stopped here on the interstate, I can see the Welcome to Kentucky sign, so just south of the state line there. And they are, in fact, turning cars around from right here because of the damage and everything in Kentucky. We're still stuck in the traffic with that, trying to figure out a way that we can, maybe get out of this and spin back around and find a different way. But at this point in time, we have seen numerous cars get turned around up at the Kentucky border. A lot of the larger semi-trucks are staying put because there's not enough room, I'm guessing, for them to turn around just past the state line.
Makes sense. Okay, just look, be safe. We want you to be safe. There are still some very gusty winds further to the south. In fact, you're probably better off staying where you are right now because some of the stronger winds are just starting to make their way into northwest Anderson County. So if you were to come back down I-75, you're coming back into those stronger winds. So maybe hold out where you are. If you see anything else, you've got an update for me, just give me a call back, but just be safe, okay?
All right, will do, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Dominic. Again, Matt, interesting, smart, I guess. It makes sense they're turning people away again because of the damage up there up I-75. It's going to cause a backlog of traffic, though, coming back south. I-75, a big thoroughfare, as we know, going from Michigan all the way down to Florida. So, Matt, looks like that's pretty impressive cell about to cross I-75, at least northwest Anderson County, from about Briceville to Rocky Top area right now.
Yeah, that's definitely, I would say, probably the strongest part of the line. At least that's where it's getting picked up the strongest wind gusts right now for roughly La Follette down into Norris. So likely some gusty winds from Campbell County, northern Anderson County, would say even northern Union County tapping into some of these gusty winds as well. So strong winds right now along I-75 in parts of East Tennessee. So now we're dealing with some of the more treacherous travel for at least on 75, getting south of where Dominic is right now, right along I-75 through parts of Campbell County, Anderson County as well. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue for this part of the area. Also, we're watching the line pushing through southeast Kentucky, eventually making its way to areas closer to the Tennessee-Virginia state line. You can see this line stretches up in this area as well. So the threat's there for some damaging wind gusts near Middlesboro, eventually moving into parts of Claiborne County, Hancock County, into Southwest Virginia as well. Really heavy rainfall right now through Harlan County, and we've already had numerous storms in Harlan County as well. But we'll watch really ahead of the line. The threat's there for some damaging wind gusts. Hasn't quite made its way into parts of Hancock County, but you are under that severe thunderstorm warning, and that warning actually stretches into Hawkins County as well. So we'll have to watch that area. But I'd say the strongest part of the storm, at least at this point, does look like it's in parts of Campbell County and parts of Anderson County as well. So let me zoom in a little bit more here. So we'll get a few more places on here. So pavement pounding rain near Beach Fork, Cove Creek, Belmont, Norris, Anderson County High School, Dutch Valley School. We also have, this is a storm really beyond that entire line. So we have some storms ahead of it, but really your damaging wind threat is going to be in this general area, stretching from Campbell County, really moving into parts of Anderson County at this hour. And if it holds together, eventually moving into parts of Knox County. So we'll likely see an uptick in at least some power outages as this line continues to blow through the area. Again, we already had some damage reported in parts of Scott County, and the threat's there for additional damage, additional trees getting knocked down and resulting in power outages as well. But yeah, your gusty winds really along this entire line, pushing through from Claiborne County right through Campbell County. Up next, again, Anderson County and Union County. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue. I believe this warning is until 2:30 this morning. Yeah, so 2:30 Saturday morning, severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until that time for parts of Anderson County, northern Knox County as well. So for areas along I-75 over towards Blaine into parts of Granger County, also under the severe thunderstorm warning. So it's a pretty large warning for this area,
Matt,
blowing through the northern part of our area, north of Knoxville at this
Sorry,
hour.
real quick,
No,
I just Director, go ahead and turn on the generator just to be safe, just to make sure, so we don't lose power. One thing I want to point out, been watching this. We talked about along these lines that come through. Sometimes you can get brief little spin-ups that happen along the lines that can produce some weak tornadoes. So again, I'm seeing at least the potential for some shear along this line that's making its way now into portions of Claiborne County. So right through there. Not saying there's a tornado with these, but I'm going to watch these pretty carefully. So heads up, Bacchus to Riverside to Hopewell, Combs area. Severe thunderstorm warning, so automatically you need to be in your safe spot, right? Right? So good idea to do that just in case. We do see also some additional spin-ups along these lines as they move through. That can often happen, but at minimum, we're going to be seeing winds gusting, like Matt said, maybe up to 50 miles per hour. And it may not look as impressive here on the radar, but a couple things to remember. Where the radar is located here in Morristown, you're going over a ridge, right? There's some ridges there into portions of Granger County. You can see them kind of outlined right through there. So on the other side of it, you may not be seeing the lower elevations of that circulation. Matt, you seeing something? You good? Okay.
The generator's on. I wanted to make sure.
That's good. That's good. Again, our generator here on the station, just in case we get some power outages as this line comes through the area. But again, I'll just go back and say I'm keeping a close eye on this, especially where you see the little kinks and the indentions on there. Sometimes we can get quick little spin-ups that can produce some weak, sometimes EF0, EF1 type tornadoes. But again, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gust over a wide area, that's going to do just as much damage, if not more, in some spots. So make sure to take these warnings seriously as they move through the area, Matt. But I'll continue to watch that. We do have some very heavy rainfall in and around Knoxville now, not severe. But I'll watch this one. A little skit just popped up there near the 40-75 split near Eaton's Crossroads with that cell moving east headed towards Farragut. So again, this isn't severe yet, but something I'll keep an eye on. Moving east at about 50 miles per hour. So Foxton 157, Kingsgate 158, Village Green about 158 as well. Eventually, if it stays together there, we're talking about near the Pellissippi Parkway area. So Matt, maybe I'll call up some TDOT traffic cameras here if you want to go ahead and take over here for a minute.
Yeah, that would be great, Ken, so we can get a better picture. I am watching this line moving through the plateau, and I have Winfield and Jacksboro circled because I've received reports of trees down in that area. So it's from this line. You can see blew through Winfield, knocked down trees, blew through Jacksboro, knocked down trees, and it continues to push south and east, moving into Anderson County at this hour. So you can see the heavy rainfall ahead of that. That's going to be your damaging wind threat. So through northern Anderson County right now, that's where some of the part of the stronger storm is at. You can see the heavy rain and also the threat for damaging winds. So near Caryville, near Cove Creek, also Norris, again, Anderson County High School, towards Belmont, Paulette Elementary, eventually making its way towards Maynardville. But ahead of the really where the greens are showing up, that's where your gusty winds are at, and the threats there for trees to get knocked down. And we've already received reports through parts of Scott County and now Campbell County of trees getting knocked down. So Ken, another good idea would be to check the power outage map. Likely going to see that number go up as well. Heavy rainfall right now near Caryville along I-75, also closer to Norris. There's likely gusty winds if they're not already there. If they're not already there yet, they're pretty close in parts of Anderson County. So through Norris, Dutch Valley School, also again towards Cedar Grove. But you're damaging wind threats really pushing into northern Anderson County at this hour, and that severe thunderstorm warning does continue at this hour as well. So we're watching that area. We also have, like Ken mentioned, the severe thunderstorm warning that stretches up into Claiborne County. There's heavy rainfall in this area. The threats there for winds gusting 60 miles per hour, and even we were seeing at least some indications of some weak rotation along this line. You can see where this line of greens showing up, that's a weak to moderate rotation, even a pocket or two of some stronger rotation. No tornado warning in effect at this hour, but still we have the severe thunderstorm warning. Straight line winds can result in damage, and we're already getting reports of that as well. So where you're seeing that rotation, that's also a good indication of where the strongest part of the line is. So ahead of that, where you're going to see the potentials there for some damaging wind gust as well. So we're watching this line blowing through the plateau, Northern Valley at this hour. That's not our only storm, but that certainly is our stronger one. We also have the line pushing through parts of southeast Kentucky, so we'll focus in on that one as well. Through southeast Kentucky, eventually into southwest Virginia, and it'd be really this northern section that would have the opportunity of clipping parts of Hancock County, Hawkins County as well, but you still have some time before that's going to reach its way. Up first would be Lee County, Virginia, and up towards Wise, Virginia as well, where actually they were under a tornado warning earlier this afternoon. So it has been an active afternoon, especially in parts of southeast Kentucky, southwest Virginia as well. We're really just getting storms going here in East Tennessee. We've been pretty quiet for most of the day.
Yeah, Matt, just seeing quite a bit of lightning show now as we're looking at our camera. Embassy Suites Hotel looking back towards the southwest. The sun sphere here in the foreground. I'll leave it up for just a second because you'll probably see a lightning strike here coming up in just a minute. But then I'll take you on a little tour. There's some off in the distance you can see there. I'll take you on a tour of some of the traffic cameras that we have. What I've done is I've called up not just the traffic maps, but I've put the radar on top of it. And this is the camera there right along I-40, mile marker 370.5. So we're kind of just west of Pellissippi Parkway, and you can see the spray getting kicked up on the road. Some very heavy rainfall there, and I've seen a lot of lightning as well as some of these cars are driving by. I'll take you right to where Pellissippi is, so this will be right at I-40 in Pellissippi. And yeah, very heavy rainfall. So this is the bridge that crosses over I-40. That's Pellissippi Parkway going back towards the airport, going towards Oak Ridge at the top of the screen there. Look at the lightning flashing. So going to be pretty active, slow going on the roads with all the heavy rainfall. Thankfully, we don't have a lot of traffic out there at this time of day, but it's going to be slow going, I think, across much of the area. Quickly, I'll check back here. What I wanted to do is this one cell. I'll keep an eye on this, the one we were watching there in Farragut. Moving to the east, nothing really jumping out at me at this point. I don't see anything, no rotation showing up at this point, which is great. Just most likely some very heavy rainfall, maybe some very small hail. A little further to the north, still watching the storms there into Claiborne County. Severe thunderstorm warning continues there. Again, there's some very strong winds right at the leading edge there between Duo, headed towards New Tazewell, so TNT area, Chestnut Ridge, Murphy Mill. That's continuing to move east. So right there where the reds and greens are beside each other, you know, you don't want to couple it, but when they're right beside each other, that means it's just a line of wind coming through. You look for the little side by side colors of greens and reds, but you can see just the update there. So now it's already into the new Tazewell area. So heads up Springdale Elementary, Howard's Quarter, Big Creek, then it's going to be making its way over there into portions of Hancock County soon as well. But still have to watch. Again, I want you in your safe area anyway, since there's a severe thunderstorm warning here. But Matt, we'll have to watch just to see, again, if we get any type of a little quick spin up with some of these. Not saying that we are, but certainly a possibility, I think, as we go over the next hour as this line moves through.
And that tornado watch does continue for most of the areas.
Yes.
So that means conditions are favorable for tornadoes. It's a low risk overall, but it's still something we'll be watching as this line pushes through. So we're watching the line really north of Knoxville at this point. Definitely has more of an easterly track to it, but you can see how, notice how, at least looking at the rain, notice how there's a bit of more of a bulge in this part. That's where a good indication are. You could have some gusty winds along this line. So I did put a storm track on it as if it continues more due east. So over towards Norris Elementary, that's really where your gusty wind potential would be at this hour. Norris right around 2 in the morning, so there shortly. Also near Andersonville and Andersonville Elementary in just the next few minutes, and making its way again further east from there. So really we could have some pretty gusty winds, some strong wind gusts just starting to move into Union County at this hour. And just noticing again where you're seeing that bulge in the reflectivity, the potential's there for some gusty winds. Actually, looks like we took a little power surge there. Hopefully we're still able to hear us and see us. At least the generator's on. That's some good news. We do have the storms moving through parts of Knox County at this hour. But this is where I would watch the potential for some damaging winds. So through Norris, also moving into parts of Union County, again, where you start to see that bulging in the reflectivity, a good indication that there's some really strong winds in that area.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
You come back for just a second. I want to show you a live look out of Crossville. Very gusty winds with some heavy rain, but what I wanted to do is zoom over just a little bit to this billboard because it's got a light on it, and you can see the winds, just how strong they are blowing that rainfall across the Cumberland County area. So just kind of an example of what's moving through, and this isn't even a severe warned storm, Matt, right? We don't have a warning out for Cumberland County,
no.
But you can see the rain just moving in sheets down the street there, down Main Street. Again, this is the southbound Main Street in downtown Crossville, and this is the northbound. So very gusty winds, even with those cells. And again, that one's not even got a severe thunderstorm warning on it at this point. Let me go back real quick. I wanted to show you the downtown Knoxville from our Embassy Suites hotel camera. Heavy rainfall hitting the lens as well. I've seen a lot of lightning off in the distance. And that one stronger cell I showed you back towards Farragut would be almost right over the sun sphere the way we're looking back towards the west. There's the flashes of lightning as well. Matt, you had mentioned earlier, what about power outages? Thankfully, I'm not seeing a whole lot at this point. They're mainly into Kentucky. This has actually gone up since the last time I checked, but now up to 1,500 in Knox, over 1,000 in Bell, 400 in Harlan, and 300 in Whitley County. Those are the only counties that have power outages registered now, but we'll see, Matt, as that line continues to move into the valley. Would not be surprised to see a few more pop up, and especially if we had in Scott County some winds gusting over 50 miles per hour and some tree damage there earlier, we could easily be talking about some power outages. But I'll continue to watch this. What are you seeing? Where are you watching right now? What are you looking at?
Still focusing on areas, Anderson County, Union County, definitely the potential's there in that area for some damaging wind gusts of 60 miles per hour, so trees can get knocked down. It's really from the same line that already knocked down trees in northern Scott County towards Winfield and in Jacksboro and Campbell County. So the threats there from Norris right into Union County, even Claiborne County, where the stronger part of the storm is. That's where you could have some of those gusty winds and can knock down trees and result in power outages. At least we're not seeing many power outages pop up on the map there, Ken. So that's some good news. At least folks able to have the lights on and also the air conditioner on, because it's really humid outside. There's a lot of energy for the storms to tap into. That's why we're still having the threat for severe storms at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not necessarily the most common time. Usually you'd expect some stronger storms, especially the peak heating of the day during the afternoon and evening. But there's a lot of energy out there for storms to tap into. Still a threat for some gusty winds. through areas really north of Knoxville. I think it's a better indication of just looking at where it's raining, where you can see, again, really ahead of the line would be your threat for damaging winds. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue for parts of the area. Noisy storm over Knoxville right now, but that's not even the severe warned storm. That's really north of downtown. So pushing through Anderson County into Union County. So up next would be Maynardville, eventually to Luttrell, New Tazewell, tapping into some of these gusty winds and starting to approach Hancock County as well. So let me go up to a bit further to the north. We've been focused in on Anderson County and Union
Look up
County.
into Claiborne County, just east of Tazewell, some gusty winds there.
Yeah, so we have gusty winds near New Tazewell, starting to push into Hancock County as well. This is also the part that at least had some weak rotation, so let me take another look at that. Still some rotation with this line does indicate that the line's still on the stronger side. This is still a pretty strong storm. The potential's there for it to be a severe storm. We'll have to watch it closely. Some weak rotation near New Tazewell and Tazewell at this hour. No tornado warning. We just have the severe thunderstorm warning. That continues until 2:30 for Claiborne County, but we're just going to have to watch this. A lot of times with these lines, you can get a quick spin-up tornado. It can rotate pretty quickly and wrap up. So we'll watch it. For now, it's a low tornado threat area-wide as this line pushes through, but we watch as this line continues to push through the area.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Just an update. I want to keep an eye again on these storms to the south. I'm not ignoring them. We're just covering a lot here. That's Bledsoe County, so that's Ray County, just to the south. The VTI, or what we call the Virtual Threat Index, that's really gone up. It's up to a 7.4 right now. Usually anything over about, say, 6, we're starting to pay attention to. So I'm going to continue to keep a close eye on that as that's moving to the east. You probably hear the heavy rain here on our roof now on Broadway. But there's at least some broad rotation with that cell now, Matt. So that's something I'm going to keep a close eye on as, again, there it is right there. See the reds next to the green. It's by itself in an environment that's untapped, if you will. So, Matt, I'm going to keep a close eye on this one.
Yeah.
It's south of our viewing area. That's Bledsoe, that's Ray, that's Meigs. But if it keeps going east, it's going to be into McMinn County. So I'll keep an eye on this, Matt.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good, Ken. Definitely want to watch that one closely. Also, we're seeing, I'll focus in on areas to the north. We talked about this several minutes ago, back when we had the severe thunderstorm warning in Fentress County. Honestly, it may have been almost an hour ago at this point. We're looking at the hail potential, where you start to see the yellows pop up. The threat's there for some hail, but also it's a good indication this is a stronger area along the line of storms. So like we talked about, some gusty winds moving through Union County. So you got gusty winds, the potential for some hail. That's definitely a stronger section of this line. And like Ken talked about, virtual threat index of a 3.5, not as strong as that one that it's at least Ken's watching across parts of the Southern Valley. But some estimated times of arrival for you. We're watching, let me make sure I'm clicked on the right one here so you can get the estimated times of arrival for this storm. Irwin, right around 2:14. Welch Crossroad, around 2:14 as well. Sharps Chapel, around 2:16. And Rose Hill, around 2:18 as well. So some hail, gusty winds moving into Union County at this hour. We're also still watching that storm.
Hey, Matt, I just want to give you a quick update from Dominic. He was talking to a couple of truck drivers up there. Remember, he's right there on the border between Tennessee and Kentucky near Jellicoe. He said they were holding people back because there was actually some debris on the interstate, but they are starting to let people through now. So there was some debris from the storms. Probably not tornadic in that area, but could have just been wind damage, blowing some trees or limbs off from the side. But he is starting to move now, and they're going to keep an eye on that. So just wanted to let you know about that, okay?
No, that's good to know as well. So
I think they're adding Cock and Green to the watch now, by the way.
Okay.
They weren't in it before, but they're adding them to it.
Yeah, so everyone has to stay weather aware as we head really for the next several hours as this line pushes through the area. Now I'm focusing in on the storm that's in Claiborne County. Again, this, like we were just talking about in Union County, we have the yellows showing up. The potential's there for some hail, a stronger storm as well. Can you hear the rain over our roof here in Knoxville? Yeah. It's coming down at a pretty fast rate. So moving through Claiborne County at this hour. So Riverside around 2:10, Oak Grove 2:12, and it looks like Hoop Creek around 2:15. So again, hail, damaging winds, watching both of those areas pretty closely. Damaging winds are the main concern, but let me just at least the picking up on some hail falling in this area, likely sub-severe, but nonetheless an opportunity to get close to an inch in a hailstone would not be surprising if we can maintain the updrafts, as we call it, in the storm. Damaging winds are the main concern as this continues to blow through the area. It's a pretty strong storm moving through Union County at this hour, pavement pounding rain, likely gusty winds near Maynardville, eventually to Luttrell. In fact, winds may already be blowing through Maynardville at this hour. Up next would be Granger County, so Blaine, Bean Station, and Rutledge. That's the area we'll be watching next. We continue to monitor Anderson County as well. We have the heavy rainfall, the threats there for some gusty winds. Also noticing the heavy rain back through parts of Morgan County as well. But it does look like at least the gusty wind potential is still there through Anderson County, but it definitely looks a bit stronger through parts of Union County and Claiborne County. So that's the area we'll focus in on right now. The gusty winds ahead of this line as it continues to push really east-southeast. So gusty winds right now through Union County, and that severe thunderstorm warning does include northern parts of Knox County as well, really up towards, we'll zoom in here, really areas north of downtown, so up towards Halls, Gibbs Elementary, right there on the Union County line. That's the only part of Knox County that's under the severe thunderstorm
They're just
warning
about
at
to
this
expand
point.
it.
Expand it. Well, that makes sense. That's supposed to expire in about 20 minutes.
It's going to be Anderson, Knox, Loudon, Morgan, Roan until 3.
Okay, so we'll watch for it to pop up here on the map. But still, the threat's there for damaging winds ahead of the line. Let me zoom out so you can get a better picture of what we're watching. So, okay, so now we have the new warning that popped up, and there's a lot going on the radar here. So you can see it there, actually, like we talked about, the heavy rainfall through Morgan County. So we have Morgan County down into Roan, parts of Loudon, more of Knox, and over towards Jefferson City as well. But it just looks like at least we have the warning here.
Hey, Matt.
Actually, it's just for the Morgan County storm, that new warning. So we're focused in on this one.
Okay, I'll come back to me. I want to talk about the storm. Still watching it. It's really, I've been watching it very closely now. I've been messaging the Weather Service as well. They're keeping an eye on it. But the one that's, there's definitely some rotation with this storm. So wider perspective, here's McMinn County. So there's Bledsoe, Ray County. So it's south of Ray County, not even in our viewing area. But the way this is moving, it could be close to McMinn County. It's moving east at about 35 miles per hour. So getting a little shear marker with this one at this point. So again, I'm going to look at the rotation, and there it is, right there, Matt. South of Graysville, north of Soddy Daisy. That one needs to be watched very carefully. So we'll see if they actually put a warning on this. I don't know, but definitely worth watching, I'd say here. Been watching this cell for about the past hour. As it was kind of making its way east of the I-24 area, but in the last few scans, it certainly looked a little bit more potent right through there. So there's Soddy Daisy, a lot of lightning with this. That's upticked as well. There's Dayton. Boy, you can hear the heavy rain here on the top of our studios. But Matt, I'm going to continue to watch this. Sorry for jumping in, but it was really just drawing my attention there. It looked very, very potent, that last scan that came through.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. Completely agree. Also, we'll want to pay attention to this storm, southern Knox County. Not necessarily seeing the rotation with it, like the storm that Ken is watching, but this one is actually ahead of the line. So this one's just ahead of it, but also by itself. And again, like we were talking about, the potential for some hail. So it's by itself. It could produce some hail through southern Knox County as well. This one's not severe warned, and I don't see the rotation with it, but at least we're starting to notice the yellows and oranges pick up. Does look like the storm is strengthening as it moved from Farragut a bit closer towards downtown. So there's heavy rain with it at this hour, and the potential's there for some hail. And our computer model is starting to pick up at least on the potential for some hail near Bearden, eventually pushing towards Anderson Elementary. So really Knoxville through South Knoxville, so the southern part of the county. But would not be surprised if there's some hail potentially falling near Bearden at this hour. And again, that's a storm that's not on the line that we've been watching.
Hey, Matt?
Yeah.
Sorry, they did issue a warning for that cell, and they put a tornado possible tag on it. We see that happen a lot. So again, they're seeing that rotation I pointed out to them. That's McMinn County right here. So this warning, let me see when it goes until, that's going to be until 3 o'clock. So that's 3 a.m. Again, still seeing our little signature showing up there, that there could be some rotation with it. It's probably upper level rotation at this point. You see it's kind of high off the ground there. It's elongated. When it's closer to the ground, that means you have tighter rotation closer to the ground. Now, it is a little bit away from the radar site, not by much, but it is. We're at about 4,000 feet elevation, the beam height at this point. So it can't see down below that, obviously, but probably at least seeing some decent rotation with that cell, Matt. And it's grabbed my attention for a while, so I'm going to continue to watch it. But again, a severe thunderstorm warning goes until 3 o'clock for McMinn County. So here's some of the areas that could be impacted with it, and that's going to put it into southern Meigs County soon. So Eastview 224, Harbor Hills 228, and Gibson Farm subdivision at 2:30. I'd say heads up Arcadia Shores as well here in the next 2 minutes. But I'll keep an eye on that one. Again, it's all by itself. It's one of those storms like you were talking about, Matt. It's away from that line that's still back to the north and to the west. So this is all untapped environment, right? This guy's feeding all by himself, moving off to the east. So that needs to be watched. McMinn and possibly even into Monroe County. And I also don't like the fact that it's almost moving due east. That's a little red alert alarm that goes off in my head when it's by itself and it's moving more to the east than it is to the northeast or south, like these storms. So that's something that'll need to be watched as well, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. And please interrupt if anything changes with that storm. We're watching several ones north of that one. We have another isolated storm really moving along I-40 through Knox County at this hour. So just some estimated times of arrival for you, impacting South Knoxville, Dogwood Elementary at this hour. But really up next to be close to Market Square within the next 2 minutes, the strongest part of the storm at least. Also the Knoxville Coliseum 216 as well. So moving through downtown at this hour. This storm also by itself not attached to that line, and the potential's there for some hail. We talked about it where we had some hail potentially falling in the Bearden area, so Sequoia Elementary, Mount Olive Elementary, the potential's there for some hail as this storm moves through southern Knox County. So we're watching that one. Our computer is estimating the hail size around 1 inch. Can't say that 1 inch is actually reaching the ground, but there's certainly a potential for some hail and some gusty winds with that storm. At this point, that storm is not severe warned. I am watching this one, though, also through Union County. We've been talking about this one for the last several minutes. Still, the potential for some hail north of Maynardville at this hour. That one also moving roughly 45 miles per hour to the east. Again, estimated hail size around 1 inch, but really this one is attached to the line. So gusty winds would be the main concern with that one. Getting closer towards Little Barron around 224 and Lay School around 226. So this is moving through northern Union County at this hour. And that's the storm that one has heavy rainfall with it. You can see near Lick Skillet, heavy rain, near Maynardville, heavy rain. But also this is along the line. So there's the damaging wind threat with this one through Union County, eventually into parts of Granger County. We also have the severe thunderstorm warning in Claiborne County. We've been watching that. There's been some weak rotation with that one. There's still weak rotation with that line. So we have to watch this line as it continues to traverse the area as well. We also briefly mentioned it, but let me go back to the west now. We have an additional severe thunderstorm warning. This includes parts of Morgan County, Roane County, and northern Loudoun County, even parts of Knox County. So really Farragut down into Lenoir City, to Harriman and Kingston, and up towards Wartburg. There's a damaging wind threat along this line as well. Winds gusting 60 miles per hour. So
Matt,
we're tracking.
that new one that just popped up, they're saying maybe 3/4 inch size hail, winds gusting to 70.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's going back to the storm's maintaining its strength, and that warning now expands pretty substantially. So let me zoom out here so you can get a picture. So we're talking about this line, say it stretches from Sneedville to Clinton down into Harriman, roughly, pick a line from there. This warning goes all the way to the North Carolina state line. So now in the severe warning, Dandridge, Sevierville, Gatlinburg, Newport, also into Greenville as well. So they're, like we talked about, they're warning this entire line. There's a damaging wind threat along this entire line, and we have a couple of cells ahead of the line that we have to watch closely as well. So for now, your damaging wind threat is really closing in on Knoxville at this hour. It's moving just to the north, But at this point, it's getting pretty close. We already have one storm moving through. This storm's by itself, but your damaging wind threat, or at least the potential for winds gusting 60 miles per hour, really stretches from roughly Harriman and Kingston to Oak Ridge, Clinton, up towards Maynardville, and stretching further north from there, through parts of Granger County, up towards Sneedville. So heavy rainfall, and the threat's there for some gusty winds. Winds gusting roughly 60 miles per hour. Want to look at all the parameters here to make sure I'm not missing anything. But still, that severe thunderstorm, the new one, at least continues until 3:15. But this line is moving fairly quickly, roughly around 40 to 50 miles per hour. So it already has that momentum. It has the momentum. It can bring down the gusty winds, and that can result in straight line wind damage. And we've already had numerous reports of trees getting knocked down as the storm just started to move onto the plateau. So we'll be watching this closely as it continues to move through the area. This is a strong storm through Knox County right now. There's potentially golf ball size hail with it. Southern Knox County right now, at least our computer's estimating that. Again, this is a storm. It's by itself, so it's able to tap into the environment and really strengthen up, and that's exactly what it's doing. A virtual threat index of a 3.2, Southern Knox County at this hour. Up next would be Island Home around 220, and the Tennessee School for the Deaf around 220 as well. That's a strong storm. The potential's there, at least our computer is estimating. Some golf ball size hail, that certainly can do some damage. And gusty winds will also be an issue as well. Some weak rotation with it, but heavy rain and some large hail potentially through parts of Knox County at this hour, really downtown into South Knoxville. And the line's closing in. So eventually, this isolated storm is going to get eaten up by this line, and they'll all merge together. But this is a strong storm right now. Would not be surprised. We already had the computer pick up on some hail near Bearden, but through South Knoxville right now, there could be some pretty large hail in this area. If you do have any reports, of course, if you can safely send them to us, we'd love to hear from you. If you are seeing a hailstone, golf ball size, or at least a quarter size, because the potential's there for that as well. Mostly, though, we're watching a damaging wind threat. So we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, stretching for much of the area. This is the storm Ken's watching, where there's some rotation. That storm's pretty isolated. Mainly, you're dealing with a damaging wind threat right now, but also watching that potential for some larger hail through parts of Knox County as well. So a lot going on, Ken. What's the latest update with that storm through the Southern Valley?
Yeah, still keeping a close eye on that, Matt. The last couple of scans, it looks like it may have intensified just a little bit. Again, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for McMinn County. This is I-75, by the way. So it's getting close. It's in southern sections of Meigs County right now. And again, that virtual threat index, we always look at it, it's gone up to a 4.8. Rotation right through here. You can see almost into southern sections of Meigs County. And if we take a look, kind of clean up the look, you can see right there, there's the rotation right there. So it's kind of east of the waterway there, the river, just east there. So moving southern Meigs County eventually into sections of at least the southern half of McMinn County. I think this warning goes until 3. Yeah, so that's a severe thunderstorm warning till 3. But what the Weather Service did is they put a tag on it, we call it. At the very end of the warning, it says a tornado possible. So again, they're watching it. It's a severe thunderstorm warning. Winds could be 50, 60, 70 miles per hour even, but rotation showing up with it. So something to watch. Doesn't mean that it's on the ground, right? It's just in the upper mid levels, we're seeing some rotation with this. But I've been watching this storm for a while now, as it was just to the east of I-24, south of Manchester, and it's been moving to the east, and it's kind of by itself. It's a lone storm off in an area that's been untapped, the atmosphere-wise, and you can see that here, that cell moving east. There's a couple more back to the west as well, all by themselves. So those will continue to need to be watched as well. But looks like, Matt, did they issue a warning all the way into Sevier County now as well?
It goes all the way to the North Carolina state line.
Okay, it's just going to be that. Like we said, that whole line is going to be pushing through. Winds are going to be the biggest threat with this, obviously. But as we talked about, can't rule out at least the opportunity that you briefly see a little spin up, maybe of a quick little spin up of a tornado. That's why we're under a watch, right? It's possible as we go through the next couple of hours. I think it goes, till 4 o'clock, so another hour and a half from right now, that potential. So I'm going to continue to watch this cell. It's definitely grabbed my attention. So there's a little bit better view of it. There's McMinn County, the border right there between Meigs and McMinn County, right where Allen and Big Springs are, right on the border. So heads up, Big Spring about 227, 5 minutes from right now. Just go ahead and get in your safe spot. Allen at 233, Union Grove at 243, and Spring Creek at 243. So again, there's I-75 right through there, and we're looking back into that storm. It's moving just maybe a little bit north of due east. And again, these are the kind of cells you have to watch. When they're by themselves and they move more in an easterly direction, that usually means that they have a better chance to intensify, to strengthen as they're moving to the east, where that whole line is diving to the southeast, right? So again, there's an updated scan there for you, still showing a 4.8, worth watching. Moving east at about 38 miles per hour. So I'll keep an eye on this one, Matt. Still very noisy here over our studio, some very heavy rainfall. I'm going to get a couple of camera views as well, and I'll come back to you in just a minute.
Sounds good, Ken. So we're watching this line as it really continues to traverse the area. Winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour are possible ahead of the main line. So we're really watching this line. It stretches from really the Roane-Cumberland County border all the way into Southwest Virginia, so through Hancock County into Southwest Virginia. Along this entire line, winds gusting 60 to potentially as high as 70 miles per hour. So there's heavy rain with it. There's the threat for damaging winds. We've already had damage reported along this line, but I do want to continue to focus in on this storm that's ahead of the line moving through southern Knox County at this hour. This is a pretty good indication that there's some hail, and it could be fairly large in size. Our computer is estimating that it's roughly over an inch in diameter, roughly around golf ball size hail. We had some hail potentially really south of downtown, but just some estimated times of arrival for you. It would be near Kimberlin Heights around 229. Peters Mill, 232, and Stony Point around 232 as well. Eventually pushing over towards the Kodak area, and if it maintains its strength, it really has to outrun the line. Eventually this storm's going to get eaten up by the main line. It could push into Jefferson County and northern Sevier County, so over towards the Kodak area. So we'll watch that, but the threat's there for some large hail with this storm. That's fairly isolated. We're also watching the damaging wind threat that's quickly closing in behind it. So you can see, let me click this over here. We have this more isolated storm, but this is where your gusty wind threat is. So this storm's going to get eaten up pretty soon. But gusty winds along this line, again, winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour as it continues to push through the area. So that's what's going on in Knox County. We also have the damaging wind threat. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue for parts of Morgan County, but I would say more so through Roane County. You can see the heavy rainfall right now pushing through Roane County, eventually making its way towards Lenoir City, Loudoun, Philadelphia, an area once again untapped from some of these storms that we've had. So there's still a lot of energy in this area. Also, heavy rainfall from Oak Ridge, that would push into Farragut. We'll also get back to some heavy rainfall eventually through really Knoxville northward, aside from this storm that's pushing through the southern part of Knox County. We'll watch it move into Blount County as well, the line that is. And let's go north and east of Knoxville at this hour so you can get a better picture for the storms up here. Still heavy rainfall moving through this area. The threat's there for some gusty winds, and that's the main threat that I'm seeing, at least at this point. So heavy rain and gusty winds. We talked about it moving through Union County. Now it's moving into Granger County. So it stretches from Knox County through Granger County, so to Rutledge, Bean Station, and stretches right up into Hancock County. So up next would be Hawkins County. So Burgoynesville, Rogersville, down to Bean Station, Morristown. I'd be prepared for some gusty winds, or the threat for winds to gust 60 to 70 miles per hour, really all of Hamblin County. Eventually to Jefferson City, and then we really have some really heavy rainfall right now in between Jefferson City and Danbridge. Same cell that's potentially producing some larger size hail through parts of Knox County at this hour. So you can see pretty expansive severe thunderstorm warnings in effect all the way to the North Carolina state line. So we're not dealing with severe weather yet in Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, Newport, or Greenville, but it is closing in fairly quickly. This line has been moving pretty consistently, 40 to 50 miles per hour. It has the momentum, for damaging wind gusts, and it's bringing those down to the surface and resulting in damage. And we already have reports back on the plateau of some damage as well.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Just take a quick little tour here of some of the cameras. Downtown Knoxville, still some very heavy rainfall. Look at the camera bouncing up and down. We've got some gusty winds here as well. I want to go a little further east. Got a shower that's popped up into the Gatlinburg area. Notice the trees and the flags. They are definitely starting to move a little bit. This is well in advance of that line that is not even to that area yet. And looking in Crossville, we still see the rain dripping from the overhead sign here, the street sign, the billboard, but still some lightning in the area, still some heavy rain, a lot of ponding on the area roadways. Want to talk about this. There's still enough fuel here in the atmosphere to keep these storms going, if not help them strengthen as they push to the east. But notice back to the west, the northern edge of the plateau up through Kentucky, all that fuel's gone, right? So what has the Weather Service done? Yeah.
Tornado warning posted to that storm that you were watching.
Okay, makes sense. Let's go. Come back down to it. I've been watching this for an hour plus, right? So this is going to be into, well, they're going to extend that all the way into the mountains, it looks like, Matt. So tornado warning is going to go to McMinn County till 3:15. It's with this cell. Been watching it pretty carefully here, still showing the signs of rotation. So heads up, Gibson Farm subdivision at 2:38. Going to clean it up just a little bit. You can see that very tight rotation right through there. Again, we're a little ways away from the radar site, but still it's enough of a signature that I'm glad that they went ahead and did warn on it. Let me just switch back real quick. I want to just take a look. Yeah, still very impressive there. So that cell, again, I'm going to keep this up. There's Riceville, so that's McMinn County. Going to be there at 2:46. So you got less than 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and get in our safe area there. This is going to be crossing I-75 probably in the next 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. So Harbor Hills, heads up, right in your area now. Sanford, 244, Riceville, 246, Suburban Hills at 248. So yeah, Matt, we've been watching this cell. It developed just south of the Manchester area, east of I-24. And as I said, it's moving more, it took more of that easterly jog. And just from experience, I've seen this happen a lot. When those cells are by themselves, they're moving to the northeast, and they take more of that easterly jog. It helps them to feed on that energy, and it helps them to intensify. Oftentimes happens, and that's kind of what we've seen with this cell across the area. So again, we have a tornado warning that's going to be for, it looks like it's extreme southern Ray and Meigs County, and also into McMinn County. But McMinn County is where we do have viewership down there. So it's getting very close to crossing over into there now. So this warning is going to go until 3:15, and they've extended this well eastward. It looks like it's going to clip Monroe County as well, Matt, southwestern Monroe County. So McMinn and Monroe County until 3:15. We're giving you well heads up time to get in your safe area, okay? Not a confirmed tornado, but again, radar has indicated it. Been watching this for a while, and we are seeing that tighter rotation right there just west of Harbor Hills. So this is getting close to the I-75 corridor. There's Calhoun, there's Hillsview, Harbor Hills, Riceville. So Riceville right about here, so getting close to there. Again, you got less than 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and get in your safe area now as this moves to the east. Matt, if you see anything north, you just let me know. I'm going to focus on this storm though. Again, down I-75, south. We've already had the issues up to the north, up towards London, Kentucky. Dominic Webster is on his way up there to check on the damage between the London airport. I've seen a lot of video and pictures from that this evening, and definitely back towards Somerset, Kentucky. Those were separate storms to the north. I'll quickly show you that the picture of the Somerset tornado that we got from Kim Goff here. Very impressive tornado. We were seeing debris from a radar in northern Alabama with this storm. So over 20,000 feet up, the beam height over 20,000 feet up was picking up debris from North Alabama and that storm in Kentucky. That was an impressive, strong storm. Significant damage, most likely with that. So I'm going to keep an eye on this one. This is McMinn County, that tornado warning. It's getting very close to I-75. Let me pull back out just a bit. We'll keep an eye on those storms back towards I-24 as well. But what I think will eventually happen is those will kind of get caught up in the main line coming through. But it's these that are out ahead of the storms that we definitely have to keep an eye on, like this one. It is definitely all by itself, moving across I-75. Going to be some hail with that one too as well, Matt, I'd bet. Let's take a look. Yeah, just a little bit of hail showing up in the past hour, but it has just started to strengthen across the area. So you can see that brighter orange indicating that we're getting to that likely hail core. But the biggest thing I've noticed again is the rotation with it as that moves to the east. So getting very close to I-75 right now. So Harbor Hills, Sanford, you need to be in your safe spot. Riceville as well. Sanford will be there at 246, Riceville at 248, Suburban Hills at 250, and Coyle right about 252. So I think that is just in between Riceville and Sanford. A lot of lightning with this as well. 55 lightning strikes just in the past 15 minutes around this. So there's a potential you might be able to see a funnel if it's descending from this, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to be safe, especially if you're traveling along I-75. Don't park under an underpass, all right? Go to just a safe spot. Be safe across the area, but you don't want to get under one of those bridges or underpasses. Don't do that, please. It's moving east now at 40, so like I said, moving more in an easterly direction instead of northeast. It means that there's the potential it could continue to strengthen a little bit or at least hold where it is. I just noticed the virtual threat index went up to a 4.8. Saw it down to about a 4.5 earlier. As I mentioned, that elevation or that stair stepping going up, that's what we look for to see if it is strengthening. But it's getting very close now to that I-75 corridor. And still seeing at least some rotation right there where the reds and greens are next to each other. The radar that I'm using is out of northern Alabama at this point, and we are at about 5,800 feet in elevation. Matt, I'm going to let you take over. Dominic's giving me a call real quick, and I'm going to check in with him real quick, okay?
Okay, sounds good, Ken. We'll focus in on some of the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have. Really areas north of where that tornado warning is in effect for parts of McMinn and Monroe County. So at this hour, severe thunderstorm warning does continue, really stretching from Roane County right through Knox to Jefferson, Granger, and to parts of Hancock and Hawkins County. Hamblin County included as well. This entire line has the potential of winds gusting 60 miles per hour. Even an isolated gust closer to 70 would be possible, especially where you're noticing just some of the brighter reds picking up the stronger part of this line from Knoxville through Jefferson County and in over towards Morristown as well. So straight line wind damage, that's the threat with this line as it pushes through the area. Not seeing much in the way of rotation with at least this segment of the line. We've been talking about areas through southern Knox County as well. The potentials for some hail has weakened some, but still there's some gusty. Yeah, Ken. No, you're fine. Let's go back to Ken.
On the phone with me right now, and he's got an update up into. Are you in London now, Dominic? Is that what you said?
Yes, Ken, we're pulling off in the London exit now, Kentucky State Route 192. We were on 75 coming through. We were going to pull off at the airport or in London anyways because we saw a picture of what appeared to be a medical helicopter that was mangled near the airport here. But as we were driving up here off to our left, so off to our west from the interstate, we saw this bright picture, not even a picture, but just bright lights, red and blues from fire personnel, other emergency personnel. And as I looked over, we saw roofs on the ground, timber everywhere, strewn about the side road there. And as we started driving a little bit further up the interstate, there were 2x4s and what appeared to maybe be a truss from a roof, just laying in the middle of the interstate on 75 North, just south of the London exit. We are now off the interstate, trying to figure out exactly where we need to go to try and see where all these emergency personnel are, from what we saw on the side of the interstate. We'll, of course, keep you updated as we get closer and maybe see what kind of damage we're looking at here in London, Kentucky.
All right, Dominic, be careful. We're actually looking at a possible tornado now, south 75, down towards McMinn County. So you guys be safe, keep us updated, and we'll check back in anytime you need to. Just give us a call, okay?
Will do, Ken. Thank you.
All right, be safe. All right, thank you, Dominic Webster. Again, he is on the north side where we had that tornado earlier, two separate ones the way it looked, one in Somerset and one in London. He's in the first one that's in the London area. That parent cell developed back towards Paducah, Kentucky earlier this afternoon The cell tracked all the way through southeast Kentucky, and at times it produced a tornado, including what we saw up there in southeast Kentucky. Now we're keeping an eye on this one. This is what's going on right now. This is crossing I-75 in McMinn County, so between Charleston and Hillsview. You can still see some rotation showing up with this, and it's moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. So heads up Sanford 243, Riceville 245, Coyle at 249, and Pickwatina Place at 251. I'm guessing that's a subdivision, but still a very impressive sheer marker showing up with this across the area. So again, right over I-75 as we speak right now, that storm is moving. So Matt, I'll continue to keep a close eye on this. Anything else of note that you're seeing up to the north that we need to be paying attention on?
Yeah, just seeing the potential for some really strong straight line winds, 60, potentially even 70 miles per hour. I'd say the strongest part of the line at this point is really the line. We talked about that storm that was in southern Knox County. That line's really starting to eat up that storm that was by itself in southern Knox County. So there's a real potential for some strong wind gusts in this area. Really south Knox County towards Kodak in Sevier County, through all of Jefferson County and approaching really northern Cott County. So this entire line, as it pushes really east, southeast, where we still have the severe thunderstorm warning, still seeing a good indication that we could see winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. So I'd say this is the area we have that strongest part of the storm, and that's where I think our highest damaging wind threat is for at least this severe thunderstorm warning. We will still watch the line as it's still back a little bit further to the west. Still, there's the potential for some damaging winds through parts of Roane County into really downtown Knoxville towards Farragut, so western Knox County. Still some gusty winds in that area. We'll watch this segment as it approaches Farragut, Lenoir City, and also towards Rockford and Alcoa. So still a damaging wind threat in that area. We'll watch that segment closely. But notice how really this part of the line, it's really pushing ahead of that other segment. So we have heavy rain and the threats there for some damaging wind gusts as well. Winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour. And still noticing at least just a little bit of rotation along the line, but you can see as we zoom out a little bit and we go a little bit further to the north, some of that rotation really Morristown, north and east along I-81 has disappeared a little bit. The line's not picking up as strong through Rogersville, so really the northern segment. So really focusing in at least this segment right now through parts of Knox, Sevier, Jefferson, into Hamblen County. Really heavy rainfall right now in Jefferson County. The threat's there for damaging winds. It can knock down trees and result in power outages. So I'll keep a close eye on this one, but let's go back to the Southern Valley.
Yeah, we want to focus on this one in McMinn County. Again, if there's a tornado with this, it would be very close to I-75 right now and close to Riceville in the next 3 minutes. So let's make sure you're in your safe spot, okay? This tornado warning goes until 3:15. It's radar indicated. No one has confirmation at this point, visual spot of it, but I've been watching this cell for a while as it's made its way to the northeast, and it's right over I-75 right now as we speak. In fact, seeing that skit show up, I'm going to switch it to that one. So Claxton 252, Poplar Hill 253, Cedar Springs at 255. Again, it looks like it's right over probably just east of I-75 now, and it's still kind of held that virtual threat index of a 4.8 compared to what it was earlier. Looks like we also have a left lane I-40 east at Paper Mill blocked due to a crash. So I'd imagine with the heavy rainfall as well, we're going to be seeing some of those. Thankfully, it's not heavily traveled out there this evening, but something to watch. Now, what I've done is I've just switched over to see if I'm seeing anything of a debris type signature showing up, and I am not seeing that at this point. But again, the radar beam's a little bit high where we are. We're at about 6,000 feet up in elevation, so I may switch radars here in just a second, but still seeing at least some rotation at that level. So at least the base of that cloud's probably rotating. If there's a tornado on the ground, it would be just east of the I-75 corridor the way it looks right now. And there's probably some hail with this. Let's check. A little bit of hail that had been showing up in the past hour, so maybe you would imagine some small hail with that, but very active lightning. We're seeing 129 strikes just here within this field of view, and that'll be just within the past 15 minutes. So that in itself also pretty impressive. So again, looking at the radar from Morristown, we're at about 7,000 feet elevation, so still a little bit on the high side there. So hard to tell, but I think they made the right call anyway of just at least saying that there's that possible tornado with that cell. Looks like a new warning just came out as well. Knox, Loudon, Monroe, Roan, severe till 3:30. Is that the new one or an old one, Matt?
It looks like a new one that's coming out.
I'll let you check on that one here in just a second, but let me just for one more minute take a look at this one. Again, there's the update. This would be east of I-75 now, that cell, if there is some rotation with it. One last little view. Really hard to tell. It would be broad, at least at that elevation, but again, we're pretty high up. But I think it's still a pretty good call to put a tornado warning on this just in case, just from how it looked. So let's put a track. If it's moving east at 40, here are some areas that could be impacted. So South Liberty, 244. Goosetown 249, Wesleyanna 249, and North Etowah 251. So now we're getting here in the Etowah area. So Etowah to Addison over to Arden, that would be into Monroe County. So Monroe County is included in this warning as well. Looks like they extended part of that warning, the severe warning with the wind.
Yep, that's the new one
for
right
that
there.
one. So this part of the warning is for the line of storms coming in. This part of the warning is for the potential rotating system that's moving its way east, and it's still just pouring. You can hear overhead here, but this goes until 3:15. The McMinn County one again, some of the bigger communities we're talking about here, heads up especially Addison to Etowah, just north side of Etowah at 251. Arden as well, that would be once it gets into Monroe County. May stay just north of Bullet Creek, we'll see, but I'd say Tellico Plains, you just need to be a heads up as well. Let's get in your safe spot anyway from the line of storms coming in and then this potential system moving through as well. That's really heavy rainfall overhead, Matt. I want you to get caught up, if you can, on that new warning that got issued a little bit further north and east of what I'm looking at, Matt.
Yeah, Ken. So we'll focus in on that one as well, but I do think we have a pretty serious damaging wind threat right now through parts of Jefferson County and Sevier County. We're getting a pretty good look at this storm. The radar is actually based right here near Morristown. We're starting to see some of the whites show up, that it's picking up winds gusting around 58 miles per hour. That's a severe wind gust. So really good potential, a really high potential of seeing some damaging winds right now. Northern Sevier County towards Dandridge. And you can, let me walk this back just a couple of minutes. You can see it's really as this line started to roll into the area. So coming out of Knox County, notice how, again, we have the winds gusting out ahead of this line, and you can see the blowing winds, and that's winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour near Northview Elementary over towards Dandridge. So really strong winds in this area, and let me show you why. It's the line closing in on that storm that potentially produced hail in southern Knox County, combining together, and we have some gusty winds in that area. So heavy rainfall right now, and the threats there, pretty good opportunity of seeing winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour, northern Sevier County into Jefferson County. So good idea to be away from windows in that area. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue, but that's one part of the line that I'm noticing is pretty strong right now, through parts of Jefferson County into Sevier County as well. That new warning that was issued, it really just extends along the line. So you can see it goes all the way down into Monroe County, but it's really for the line that's still based up approaching into Loudoun County. So it extended through Loudoun County, and they took it all the way to the North Carolina state line. So we have gusty winds from Farragut, Lenoir City, and Loudoun. Winds again gusting to around 60 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning continues until 3:30 this morning for this area, so all of Blount County, Monroe County. And then we're still monitoring that tornado warning that's still in McMinn County and approaching Tellico Plains in Monroe County. So we have that is the isolated storm that Ken's been watching for roughly at least an hour at this point. And then this is the damaging wind threat as that line continues to push through the area. So there's still some time before we have this part of the line pushing Monroe County. Immediate concern is the isolated storm that prompted the tornado warning this morning for parts of McMinn and Monroe County. Areas a bit further to the north, not seeing the way of rotation, but still we have, again, just really strong winds right now near Kodak and also into Jefferson County. Really high potential that we have winds reaching the ground around 60 miles per hour. There's a good opportunity that that some damage is occurring in parts of that area. So we're monitoring that area as well. Again, good idea to just be away from windows, and if you do get hitting the road very early this morning, try and delay it until the storm blows through. Still have the threat for damaging winds as well beyond Morristown. So from Morristown into parts of Greene County, Hawkins County as well. Ahead of this line, Baileyton would be next, so along I-81. So from 81 down to the 40 split, still difficult travel as we have the gusty winds moving through. But up next are some of these gusty winds potentially to Newport, Greenville. So Cocke and Greene County, you're under the severe thunderstorm warning, and you'll have the threat for some damaging winds as well. So we have several warnings in effect, but the main concern obviously is that tornado warning for the Southern Valley.
And a flood advisory now because of all the rain in and around.
Sense.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. That was one of the impacts or potential impacts with these systems. But thanks, Matt. Let's get it caught up again. This storm has now moved east of I-75, south of Athens, heads up Etowah. I would even be ready in Tellico Plains. The official warning goes until 3:15 for extreme western sections of Monroe County and eastern McMinn County. No guarantee there's a tornado with this, but it looked pretty potent earlier. Right now it's very close to Etowah, so moving east, maybe just a little north of due east, but this would put it towards North Etowah at 249, Etowah itself at 250. Just updating there's McMinn Central High at 252 and the Berger community at 257. So if you're familiar with those, hard to say if there is still any type of rotation, strong rotation with this, but earlier we were certainly seeing at least that potential. If anything, it's right back through there, south of the Athens area. So they're continuing that tornado warning until 3:15. So that's going to be another 20 minutes or so from right now. Still just a ton of lightning right there. So you can see where that rotation would be with that cell. What I'm going to do real quick, just want to switch radar, see if I can get any type of a different view. Looks like it's, again, that area is certainly worth watching. Again, kind of right where I have that the track on this, moving to the east. Let me look at something real quick. Again, that's going to be a little high up. I'm going to turn off the lightning just for a second. And you can meanwhile hear the heavy rainfall here on our roof. Okay, I'm going to send it back to you, Matt, for just a second. I'm going to take a call here from Dominic and see if he has an update for us, okay?
Okay, sounds good, Ken. I'm going to focus in on on the damaging wind threat, especially through parts of Sevier County and Jefferson County. I'm going to walk the radar back just a few minutes so you can get a better picture. So let's go back here. Yeah, Ken.
1 second. Dominic has an update for us. Dominic,
okay,
go ahead.
Let's go to that.
Tell us where you are and what you have.
I just spoke with the mayor of London, Kentucky. He did have a disheartening update in regards to this storm. There are confirmed fatalities here in London. At this time, we are unsure of how many. How many are dead, how many are injured, how many may still be trapped underneath debris. He did tell me that they've got crews from the state, several counties, surrounding counties here, helping trying to recover people from the rubble. He said that the tornado had jumped and had taken out a lot of houses, downed a lot of trees, and again, just several confirmed fatalities up here in London, Kentucky right now. We are going to find some damage down State Route 25 here in Kentucky, in London. But again, several confirmed fatalities up here at this time.
Okay, Dominic, thank you so much for that update. Please be careful out there, and thank you for the update, and let us know if you get anything else, any more information, but we appreciate it. Thank you, Dominic.
Will do, Ken. Thanks.
Okay. Dominic Webster, again, he's been traveling up I-75 in the London, Kentucky area, where earlier this evening there were two separate tornadoes, one in the Somerset community and another in the London area. And the two actually moved almost along the same path. but it was the first one that moved through the London area that was producing some of this damage. But we also had some reports of damage as well back into Somerset. So he's checking on first up there in London, and then he'll try to move back over towards the Somerset area. We still have the active tornado warning for extreme eastern sections of McMinn and western sections of Monroe County. It would be right there, the circulation, if there is one. So McMinn Central High School right about now, the Mecca community at 258, and Ebenezer right at about 301. Matt, we'll see if they extend this a little bit more, but anything else you've got for these storms that are moving through our area now here in Knoxville?
Yeah, Ken, I pulled up a camera along I-40. This is exit 407, obviously the exit heading into Sevierville. Really strong winds moving into Sevier County. If you can look closely, some of the rain was just whipping in the wind. So that's where we have a damaging wind threat, damaging straight line winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. But this is a live view here, our TDOT camera, I-40, exit 407 there near Kodak. And that's actually where, I'm going to flip back to the radar here. Might take a second to load up, but that's where we have the potential for some damaging winds as well. Winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. So we're still here in Sevier County. So here's Sevierville. There's I-40, so right around exit 407. I'm going to go back here to around 15 minutes and just watch. So we have this line here. And watch how it just blows right into Sevier County and Jefferson County. So there is the potential there for winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour, moving through northern Sevier County, southern Jefferson County at this hour. Let me make sure we're back to a live view here of the radar. So still, the damaging wind threat right now moving through Sevierville, also moving into Cott County, so through Newport. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue. Still some really strong winds in this area. And there's also a potential for some hail. You can see this is a strong storm, at least picking up here. We've been talking about the hail potential for the last several hours at this point. So some hail, really strong winds near Kodak in Sevier County at this hour, and that's the view that we just had from the TDOT camera there at exit 407. We have heavy rainfall as well, and the threat for some hail, and this storm continues to traverse into Sevier County, also in parts of Jefferson County as well. And notice how it's taking more of an easterly, southeasterly track, so we'll watch for some really strong winds in this area. The good news is, and let me just flip back, not seeing much in the way of rotation. There's some weak rotation, but mainly this is a damaging wind threat. And I will say there are some really strong winds through Sevier County, but notice how they stretch all the way back into Cocke and Greene County as well. Again, we'll loop it back just a few minutes. And you can see all the way into Greene County, there's your damaging winds as it pushes into Greenville. You can see the damaging wind threat right here, pushing in winds gusting potentially to around 60 miles per hour along this line as it continues to push closer and closer towards the North Carolina state line. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue for at least this warning until 3:15. We're getting close, but we still have a damaging wind threat ahead of this line. So Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, over towards Pittman Center, Hartford, Del Rio, and over towards Camp Creek as well. All areas will have to watch for a damaging wind threat as this line continues to blow through. We still have heavy rain in parts of Knox County as well, and we still have a wind threat really from Farragut through Loudoun County down into Blount County. But I will say we're a bit closer to the radar. There's a really good indication right now in part near Kodak that we have some damaging winds moving through that area. And of course, we're still monitoring the tornado warning that's in effect for parts of McMinn and Monroe County. So a lot going on this early Saturday morning. We're almost at the top of the hour. Numerous severe thunderstorm warnings are in effect. We have a tornado warning in effect for McMinn and Monroe County and a significant wind threat and heavy rain threat, and there's a potential for some flooding as well in isolated spots. Let me zoom out here for just a minute. If you've been with us for the last several hours, you're not dealing with severe storms anymore. Really, Wartburg, northward into Fentress County, Campbell County, southeast Kentucky, you're good to go. Your severe threat has ended. It's really areas from Knoxville to the Smokies and the Southern Valley. That's where we still are watching this line push through the area. That's where we still have the threat for damaging winds, even an isolated tornado, and that's what's prompted the tornado warning for parts of the Southern Valley. So we'll continue to monitor these storms as they blow through. I will say the strongest part of this line besides the tornado warning, is moving through parts of Sevier County, Cott County, Greene County, even still some gusty winds potentially in parts of Jefferson County. Really strong winds at this hour, really heavy rainfall as well. We're monitoring this line and also this other segment of the line that stretches from Knoxville back into Roane County. But Ken, let's go back to the storm that's still prompting the tornado warning here at almost 3 o'clock on the Saturday morning.
Yeah, it doesn't look quite as pronounced as what it did a minute ago, but they're letting this go until 3:15, it looks like. But it's a little bit broader amount of rotation. Still seeing what we call the couplet there, where the green is next to the red. Easiest way to remember it, the warm colors away. Our radar sight's up here. So the warm colors, the air's going away. The green, the cool colors are going towards. So you can almost see counterclockwise spin. So there is some rotation there. It's probably higher up in the elevation. The radar beam itself at this point, we're at about 6,600 feet. So we're pretty high up here. Does that mean that the rotation's on the close to the surface? Hard to tell. But because that did have some tighter rotation at lower elevations earlier, they did issue the tornado warning. They're letting it continue at this point, but you can see they've trimmed it off a little bit areas to the west. So basically, if you're near the Charleston area, Athens, you are free and clear from that tornado warning, but still could be some gusty winds with just the storms themselves that are moving through. But still want to keep an eye on this as it moves east. As Matt mentioned, another 15 minutes from right now. The Berger area, Mecca, make sure you're in your safe spot now. It's pretty close to there now. Looks like Rural Vale Elementary at 3:03, Mount Harmony at 3:04, and Tellico High School at 3:57 if it stays on this path. So the elementary school and the high school could be in the path of this if it stays together moving to the east. So again, a little bit more broad rotation compared to what it looked like earlier, but something that we still need to keep an eye on. Let me just look at the radar. So at minimum, yeah, we're going to have some very heavy rainfall with this, maybe some small hail. Let me just take a look. Not seeing much in the past 15 minutes, which is good, and maybe that cell has come down a little bit in intensity compared to where it was just a little bit ago. Let me show you this real quick. Let's take a look, see where the watch stands. I think we're getting some counties that were trimmed back from this earlier. So Fentress County, you're finished. Southeast Kentucky is done as well. But the rest of the area, the watch continues till 4 o'clock. So we're another hour away from that. Power outage update real quick. Wow. 10,000 now in Knox County without power as that line of storms came through. 2,500 Union, over 1,000 in Granger, 4,500 Harlan, 4,000 in Lee County, Virginia, 1,000 Whitley, 3,500 in Knox County, Kentucky, and over 1,000 in Anderson. So, yeah, Matt, I think that kind of confirms with those winds coming through that the potential for power outages, some down trees, power lines, that certainly has been the case, it looks like.
Yeah, and we still have a really strong storm moving through parts of Jefferson County and Sevier County. This was the one that moved through Knox County, so not surprising that outages really jumped up in Knox County. I would not be surprised if they jump up shortly in parts of Sevier County and Jefferson County. Here's the storm, but you see where the blue, how it's just kind of out ahead of the line, approaching Pigeon Forge? This is the gusty winds from this storm. So we can see the winds right here. It's actually getting picked up on radar looking like it's raining in this area. This is the gusty wind. So your damaging wind threat is approaching Pigeon Forge at this hour. It's gusty winds from this parent cell. This is a really strong storm. I'm going to put a storm track on here. Now, this is a computer estimate, and the radar is estimating a potential hail size. If we had hail over 2 inches reaching the ground, that's significant. That would be causing damage. So there is the potential for some hail. Can't tell you it's over 2 inches in diameter, but that would really cause some serious issues if we're actually seeing that reach the ground. In fact, if you remember, I think the week before last, we had several cells that dumped some really large hail, similar to that size, close to baseball size. So hopefully we're not seeing that, but there is the potential for some hail in that area. Really strong storm. Your gusty winds out beyond that storm are approaching Pigeon Forge at this hour. And our computer is placing that virtual threat index at a 5. We're getting a pretty good view of this storm as it moves through parts of Jefferson County and Sevier County. But this is a strong storm approaching Dandridge Elementary School by around 3:11 this morning, Sugar Forks by 3:12, and Douglas Estates by 3:16. You can see the hail size drop there. So the computer is trying to estimate the hail size, but would not be surprised if maybe we had an inch in diameter hailstone or had some hail in general. But that's something we'll be watching pretty closely. Let me go back to the hail swath. At least the computer's picking up on some pretty large hail through parts of Kodak. So this would have been right along I-40. This is right near exit 407, so close to the Buc-ee's there. And it would be moving towards Dandridge. So we could have some large hail in this area, but there's also the threat for heavy rain and some really strong wind gusts as well. This would be quickly approaching closer towards Douglas Lake. So some gusty winds are possible in this area.
Hey, Matt, quarter-size hail near Kodak.
Oh, that makes sense. So large hail being reported in this area. So Kodak's right here just north of Sevierville. And
that was 3 minutes ago.
Inch in diameter size hail. So severe hail with the storm. It's a really strong storm. So we have the heavy rain, the potential for some hail, and really what shows you that it's a strong storm is the pinks that are showing up. Usually that's going to be the hail core, and that would be right in the area of Kodak. So we have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for this area. That is definitely a strong storm moving through southern Jefferson County at this hour. I mean, where you're seeing the yellows and oranges here, that's where you're going to have your best potential for some hail, and that's just what moved through Kodak, and we had the quarter-size hail just reported. So likely approaching hail through southern Jefferson County, so towards Sandy Ridge, Dandridge, Douglas Lake. If it holds together, and it's been maintaining its strength since it was in Knox County, Bainbury would be up next, eventually getting closer to the Newport area and along I-40 as well. So we'll have to watch that. It actually already moved through I-40 near exit 407. It could move beyond the move close to I-40 beyond the 81 split. So we'll have to watch that closely.
Matt, our cell's looking a little more ragged, the one that's down across McMinn County, Monroe County. The warning officially goes until 3:15. I imagine they'll just let it expire. But again, just to be safe, if you're kind of in this path, let me draw it real quick. I want to make sure you're in your safe spot. I don't think it'll go this much further, but let's say Mount Harmony 306, Tellico High School, the Plains Junior High and Elementary, and Tellico Plains itself, all between about 309 and 310. Tellico Beach, we had some very large hail there not too long ago, a couple of days ago. 312, Belltown Mill at 316. Again, as this is kind of moving off towards the east. We'll see if they let this expire across the area or not. But one thing I wanted to show you real quick, we showed you the power outages were at 10,000 for Knox County. They've jumped up to 14,000 now. 900 Jefferson, over 4,000 Granger, 400 Hamblin. And I would imagine we'll see these values go up as this line of storms continues to move into portions of Sevier and Cott County. Check of the watch. Looks like they've dropped, Matt, the northern half now. So still the potential for some heavy rain and lightning and storms, but the severe threat looks to be over. Morgan County, Anderson, Union, Claiborne County, Hancock County, north and west. So still for Knox, back into Cumberland, south and eastward as that line pushes through. But we only have an hour, less than an hour, Matt, before this expires anyway. So they'll be trimming this back, I would imagine, over the next little bit, which is good to know, but don't let your guard down at this point. Still watching some of these storms moving east, so just a little bit longer. 10 more minutes. This warning goes until very close to Tellico High School right about now, Jacktown 311, and Wachisi right around 319 if this continues to move to the east there into Monroe County. So, Matt, I'll continue to watch on this. I'm going to actually get an update from the Weather Service to see if they're going to extend this across the area. But how is that storm looking that's moving a little further east now, where we've had the reports of the hail and the wind damage earlier?
And Ken, right before, it looks like they're going to drop that tornado warning. So that's some good news. We'll double check in on that. I'm going to focus back in on this storm that's really moving through Jefferson County at this hour. This entire line and stretching from Knox County right up into Greene County. The latest update on the severe thunderstorm warning is winds gusting 60 to even 70 miles per hour. So some really strong winds moving through parts of Sevier County, Jefferson, Cocke, Greene County as well. The severe thunderstorm warning does continue. We'll continue to focus in at least on this storm through southern Jefferson County. Still a strong storm and still the potential is there for some hail. We had the quarter-size hail report back in near Kodak, and that's again from this storm. You can see the hail, it stretches all the way back from Knoxville through Kodak into Dandridge, and still additional hail reports through southern Jefferson County. And actually, we had a report of at least quarter-size hail. Would not surprise me if we had a hailstone somewhere that was even a bit larger, northern Sevier County or southern Jefferson County, because this is a strong storm that's still capable of producing hail. You can see that reflected here by the yellows and oranges that are picking up here. So through southern Jefferson County, still a hail threat with that storm. Also monitoring the damaging wind threat as well. Still winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour as this line continues to push a bit closer towards the North Carolina state line. So some heavy rain, gusty winds, winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. Let's go back to the velocity, and you can see here it's going to get a little messy as we get closer to the higher elevations, but still, the damaging wind threat's there, especially for our counties that have a bit more higher elevations. So through parts of Sevier County, I'd say those gusty winds are quickly closing in on Gatlinburg. So winds, again, gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour. We can go back in a loop here, and you can see there's the winds, again, approaching Gatlinburg at this hour. So really closing in on the city of Gatlinburg, having some gusty winds in that area. We can also focus in on the storms a little bit further to the north. So let's zoom in here into parts of Cocke and Greene County. Again, we'll loop it back just 8 minutes or so. So we'll start here, play it forward, and you can see the gusty winds with the winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour. So it'll be along this line. Strong winds are possible. This severe thunderstorm warning does continue. I believe this one continues until 3:30 or 3:15 actually for Cocke and Greene County. 3:15 for that one. It's the one for Blount County, Monroe, and Loudoun County. That's the one that continues until 3:30. So we still have the damaging wind threat really for areas starting to get south of Knoxville almost. We still have that potential for some gusty winds through southern Knox County at this hour. Gusty winds are the main concern. Winds gusting 60 to 70 miles per hour. But I'd say our strongest storm in the severe thunderstorm warning, that is going to still be through southern Jefferson County. You can see some estimated times of arrival here. A virtual threat index of a 4. Closer towards Douglas Estates by about 3:13, and eventually making its way towards Belmont as well by around 3:16, and Bainbury by 3:20. So 3:09 on the Saturday morning, tracking severe thunderstorm warnings. We do have warnings that continue until at least 3:30. This warning specifically is set to expire at 3:15, but there's a good chance it will get extended by a few minutes until this entire line crosses the state line into North Carolina, because we still do have several strong storms rolling through the area. This is a view regionally of what's going on. So we have the severe potential, really Knoxville to the Smokies. So our
Matt, that whole thing now goes till 3:45.
Okay, so like we were just talking about, the likely will get expanded as this line continues to push through the area. If you're really north and west of Knoxville, the Plateau, southeast Kentucky, even parts of the Northern Valley, it's still raining. There's still the potential for some isolated flooding, but the severe threats really ended. We still have the severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect, and damaging winds are the main concern. Winds gusting 60 to as high as 70 miles per hour, and already with this line, we've had reports of damage, even some hail as well. Ken, if we can, let's go back on over to you.
All right, Matt, still keeping an eye on this area down in Monroe County. They're going to let this warning expire, they said, at 3:15. Had a couple people on X tell me that we may have gone offline, but Digital's telling me we're still good on YouTube, Facebook, and on our website and app. So hopefully everybody's still watching us on air as well. So we got you covered everywhere. But they're going to let this warning expire. Maybe some very broad rotation with this. Again, that's what this marker indicates. The taller it is, that means it's the higher up rotation you would need this to be a little bit lower down for it to be of a bigger concern, but it's more of just a, hey, heads up kind of a thing. But Tellico Plains, you need to be in your safe spot anyway because there's a severe thunderstorm warning for this line that's pushing into your area, and it's still moving east. So let me just put a track on this. It's moving at about 40 to 45 miles per hour. So this is going to take it even over into the North Carolina side, not too long from right now. So that cell going to be close to Tellico Beach right about now. Chestnut Valley at 320, Citico at 323, Topoka, that's going to be over there in North Carolina. That'll be at 337, and Junction at 338. There's Citico, there's Chestnut Valley, and Tellico Beach. So at minimum, you're going to have some very heavy rainfall, maybe some small hail, and some gusty winds as this is pushing into your area. Let's look at the lightning real quick. Wow, still a lot of lightning showing up with that. Over 200 strikes of lightning just within this field of view. So that is an active storm, Matt, that's making its way through there right now. So the Rafter community right about now at 318, McGuire's 333. Again, Topoka, that's over there in North Carolina. That's Tallahassee Power Company is what that stands for. If you've ever seen the Fugitive movie, that's the dam that he jumps off of. Useless trivia. That's areas over to the east, but that's moving at about 40 to 45 miles per hour, the cell. And again, they're going to let this warning for the tornado warning expire at 3:15, but the severe thunderstorm warning, I believe this goes until 3:30. So the severe thunderstorm warning part goes until 3:30 itself. Still could be some winds, maybe 50 miles per hour, and can't rule out the possibility of a tornado, just like what we've seen with all these cells that have developed across the area this afternoon, evening, and into tonight as well. So that potential is still there for, can't rule out a tornado, Matt, as this moves through. Quickly, let's do just kind of a quick recap of some of the cameras. We're still seeing and hearing thunder and lightning here at our studios. This is Embassy Suites. We're still looking to the west where some of that heavy rainfall is. This is downtown Gatlinburg. Look how calm and quiet it is for now across the area. Pavement is wet there, and then a little bit higher up elevation, Gatlinburg Sky Park. Camera's been bouncing up and down as the winds are very strong here at the higher elevations. But Matt, I'll keep a check on these cameras as the storms continue to move in this direction. But what are you seeing areas to the north? I know earlier they said that reissuance of that warning, they thought the hail size had dropped a little bit, maybe to nickel size, and winds maybe down to 60, but 60 mile per hour winds still do a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really for the line that's approaching North Carolina at this hour. Remember, the warnings, especially Knoxville northward, were set to expire at 3:15, so they extended them to 3:45 because they're still on the stronger side. So the line's broken up slightly. Really, Knoxville to the west, through parts of Loudoun County, Blount County. At the airport there, McGee-Tyson, based in Blount County, we had some observations around 35, 40 miles per hour. So that would be sub-severe, but still, the threat's there. We could have some isolated gusts of 60 miles per hour. We're also watching really the stronger part of the line in parts of Sevier County and over towards Jefferson County and Cott County. We've been talking about the potential for some hail. Remember, we were looking for the yellows and the oranges. Notice how they're not showing up anymore. That discrete cell has really been consumed by the line. So there's still a damaging wind threat, but I'd say more likely 60 mile per hour than 70 miles per hour. We'll take it. Still, we'll take seriously the 60 mile per hour wind threat, but that's a lot better than a 70 mile per hour wind gust. It would be ahead of the line. So really, if there haven't already been some gusty winds in Gatlinburg, they're quickly closing in, and also over towards Hartford and Del Rio and Cott County and the higher elevations of Greene County as well. This will be the area that we'll have to watch. Again, a damaging wind threat of winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. Heavy rainfall as well, but this is the cell that we've been watching through parts of Sevier County, but it was really this one that's impacting Newport at this hour. And let me click on the storm track here. The virtual threat index, not as high as what it was, but still damaging wind threat closer towards West End by 3:22 and Northport by around 3:24 this morning. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue for this area. It was extended beyond 3:15. It goes until 3:45. So we have that 3:15 one expire, so now you can get a better picture of what's going on. Your damaging wind threats really stretching from Sevierville, Newport, and points really south and east. So at this point, it's mainly the higher elevations of Sevier, Cocke, and Greene County. That's where you have the better opportunity of still seeing winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. We have the additional severe thunderstorm warning stretches from Loudoun County to Farragut, south and east through Blount County. And then this additional warning, let me tilt up here. This was what replaced the tornado warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Monroe County, including Tellico Plains. Severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag, because there's still just a little bit of rotation with it, but Ken's watching that one. We'll focus in on the storms that are a bit further to the north and still producing some gusty winds. Still seeing at least the potential for some gusty winds in the area of Pigeon Forge in Gatlinburg, but at least the hail threat doesn't look as high as what it did. Because look at this hail path from Knoxville through Kodak into Jefferson County. I mean, we had reports of quarter-size hail in Kodak and likely had some hail at least in Dandridge. You can see where the purples start to show up, that's where you get closer towards probable, at least the computer indicating that probably had some hail along I-40 in parts of Jefferson County and around a quarter size, maybe even closer towards golf ball size. So at this point, the threat for damaging winds is really south of Dandridge. That's where we still have the severe thunderstorm warning. But notice there's still a lot of rain, heavy rain at that. So the flooding threat is still there. And Ken, we actually have picked up a lot of rain as these downpours continue to traverse the area. So what are some of the estimates that the radar has picked up so far?
Been really impressive. Some 2 to almost 3 inch totals showing up. Look at the line here running right along I-40, both sides, out west and out east. Between 2 and nearly 3 inches of rainfall. That's what's prompted the flood advisory across the area. So it has been very, very busy, of course, with this heavy rainfall. And as you mentioned, Matt, we're not done yet. More rain to come. You can see that bright red showing up. And some of this has kind of been moving over the same areas. That's what's caused the flooding concerns. This is just the past 3 minutes, and you can see that has been a bit of an issue across the area. Getting some heavier rainfall now back into portions of Blount County. I'm going to switch over real quick to the camera down there at Blount Memorial Hospital and see what we can see out of this. Been some very strong winds. Looks like some heavy rainfall as well. There's some lightning in the distance. Spray getting kicked up there as Maryville College is off there in the distance there, and camera bouncing up and down again with some of the heavier rainfall that we've seen. I'll switch it back to the Smokies camera there at Gatlinburg just so we can see some of the heavier rainfall, see the wind still gusting there, picking up, and even in downtown Gatlinburg as well. Matt got some pictures from Dominic Webster, who's up in the London, Kentucky area, some video as well. I'm going to set these up so we can take a look at them, but I'm going to send it back to you for just a minute so you can get us caught up.
Yeah, so we'll start out with a zoomed out view so you can get a better picture of what's going on area wide. Our severe threats mainly at this point focusing in on the Southern Valley and the Smokies. Your quieter severe-wise, it's still raining on the plateau. There's still a flood threat. So as you get out the door, maybe later this morning, just keep in mind, could be some high water, especially in flood-prone, low-lying areas, and there could be some damage. There could be trees knocked down. We had reports of damage on the plateau, and some of those will come in a little bit more as we head later in the morning. Obviously, as the sun comes up, you get a better picture. We still have several severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, but you're good to go to sleep peacefully through the night across the plateau, southeast Kentucky, really areas north of Knoxville. The severe threat does linger closer to the Smokies and in parts of the Southern Valley. So we still have this storm still on the stronger side. It's a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. I'm going to tilt up a little bit more so you can get a better view of it. Still southern Monroe County, just some estimated times of arrival approaching North Carolina at this hour, but Calderwood around 3:32, Fairfax around 3:40, and Yellow Creek around 3:40 as well. Still a stronger storm. You can see the VTI virtual threat index at a 4. This was the one that prompted the tornado warning. Still a threat for some gusty winds, even some hail with it, but that tornado warning was allowed to expire. We have additional severe thunderstorm warnings a bit further to the north, still the threat for some gusty winds as well. You can see that stretches from Loudoun County down into Blount County. Also really areas south of Knoxville through Sevierville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg, still under that severe warning. I would say that the gusty winds would be embedded within the storm, but that real potential for winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour, really gusting winds out beyond the thunderstorm. Really, we already saw it, at least picked up on radar, blowing through Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. So we already had some gusty winds in this area, but the severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 3:45 for this area. Now we still have stronger storms through parts of Cott County and Greene County. You can see the heavy rainfall right now along I-40 through Cott County and also into Greene County. So the higher elevations, especially dealing with the threat for gusty to damaging winds, but we still have heavy rain moving through areas. While you may not be under a severe thunderstorm warning anymore, we'll take it. Still heavy rainfall right now moving through parts of Jefferson County. In fact, let's go back to the traffic system and let me see if I can pull up a traffic camera. We can go back to this area that is not under the severe thunderstorm warning anymore, but this is a view from exit 407. Look at the truck kicking up all the spray there on the interstate. So some high water on the roads is certainly a possibility over the next several hours. So kicking up spray there, we still have lightning, we still have rain falling down. This is I-40 exit 407. This is close to the Buc-ee's there in Kodak in Sevier County. So watch for high water on the interstates. Of course, hydroplaning will be a concern as the standing water lingers on the roadways. So of course, watch for that over the course of this morning until we start to see some of this water get off the roadways. But definitely slick conditions, especially where there is some standing water. So we have this severe thunderstorm warning. It continues through parts of Sevier County, Cott County, and Greene County. This one continues until 3:45. Still that damaging wind threat starting to enter the higher elevations there. Winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. We have an additional warning a bit further to the south. This one it still goes for roughly another 8 minutes until 3:30 this morning for parts of Blount County, Loudoun County, down into Monroe County as well. And then we still have this stronger storm. This one also continues until 3:30. Again, this was the one that prompted that tornado warning back into parts of McMinn County, even approaching Tellico Plains and Monroe County. Still a strong storm, still a threat for some heavy rain and some gusty winds. In fact, let's go back to the winds. Still at least some weak rotation with it, so we'll continue to monitor. Ken's still pulling up some of those images to be able to show you, but the threat's there still for some hail with it, and it's still a stronger storm. You can see still a strong storm that could produce some hail as well. So we'll watch that. We're watching this entire line as it continues to push through the area. At this point, though, you'll notice, and we did briefly talk about this, that looking beyond Monroe County, that threat for hail has diminished. So the storm's not as strong as what they were. You can see we're not seeing some of those yellows and oranges, at least, and the potential for some hail. So that's some good news, but we'll continue to monitor the threat for some gusty to damaging winds. And you can see additional severe thunderstorm warnings posted really beyond our viewing area, the other side of the state line, as these storms eventually will cross the Smokies and blow into North Carolina. So we're watching, again, these storms. They're getting close. We're almost done, but not quite yet. We still have the threat for some damaging wind gusts, especially, I would say, in the higher elevations. And for sure with this storm that, again, did prompt that initial tornado warning. No confirmed reports of a tornado, but we still have a strong storm moving through parts of Monroe County, really east of Tellico Plains at this point. Again, 3:42, estimated time of arrival closer towards Fairfax, and even moving into parts of North Carolina. So getting closer and closer with that one. But for now, it's in the area of Chestnut Valley. Elsewhere, we're still dealing with the heavy rain. Even if your severe threat has ended, we still have the heavy rainfall moving through and the threat for some gusty winds as well. But for now, we still are just dealing with mainly a damaging wind threat. At this point, winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. So it is still active across parts of the area. But again, we're almost done. These warnings are set to expire, some of them at 3:30, some of them at 3:45. But really, once this line clears into North Carolina, we'll be done with the severe potential for the night, and even for the day. We'll be able to enjoy our Saturday pretty nicely. But for now, we're dealing with the heavy rain still impacting parts of the area. Yeah,
let me give you just a bit of a break here. London, Kentucky. Dominic Webster sent these video clips in. Look at the damage across the area. These are some power lines that are down in the area there. Sent me a semi that was turned over on its side there as well in the London, Kentucky area. And this was a business that was destroyed. He thinks it was like a kennel, a pet store or a kennel, maybe housing some pets for a weekend, I imagine maybe. So these are just some of the photos that he sent in again to our area. Earlier, we got this photo out of Somerset, Kentucky. This was the tornado that moved through the Somerset area earlier and tracked off to the north and east. There were two separate tornadoes, one in Somerset, one in London, that produced quite a bit of damage across the area. The one here that went through Somerset into London, that was this initial one here. There was one that followed this one behind it. But again, some of the damage you can see there, just mangled mess and power lines down everywhere. Definitely a hazard there into portions of London, Kentucky. And then again, a semi turned over on its side due to the high winds across the area there. And then this was one of the businesses nearby in the downtown London area. Also got numerous reports of damage near the airport in London, Kentucky as well. So he's getting some information there. Going to try to get back over to Somerset as well as we go into the next, say, hour or two if he can across the area. But just some amazing, amazing images coming out of southeast Kentucky here this evening. Now, look at the power outages. We're up to 16,000 now in Knox County, 3,500 for Jefferson and Granger, over 100 in Sevier, 1,000 in Loudoun and Anderson, 5,000 now in Harlan, and over 1,000 in Hawkins County. So as expected, as that line moved eastward into the Smokies, we saw additional power outages starting to rack up across the area. So it may be a while before we see these start to come back on. Officially 30 more minutes for this tornado watch, which is in effect, but notice the areas to the north and west, you've already been cleared by it, which is great. No more severe weather for you. Still could be some heavy rainfall, maybe some isolated flooding though, as kind of what we've seen as well. Notice there's still storm fuel areas from Knoxville eastward. That's why we still have the ongoing storms, the heavier rainfall, but where we've used up all that fuel to the north and west, that's where the watch has been dropped. Look, I can kind of switch right in between and you can see that. Makes perfect sense. So where the storm fuel is gone, basically the threat for severe weather is over, but still possible areas towards the east. Again, just some of the pictures are pretty amazing. The video and pictures coming in out of London, Kentucky from earlier this evening, just out of our viewing area. But we've got, as Dominic said, there are reports of fatalities and injuries across the area as he spoke to the mayor there of London, Kentucky. 18-wheeler, as you can see, turned over there. And again, this was a business. Looks like that has been destroyed there as well. So he's continuing to gather information, and I'm sure we'll have more updates as well as we get into Good Morning Tennessee, which is only about an hour and a half from right now. But Matt, any other updates you have on some of the storms that are ongoing still at this point?
Yeah, the National Weather Service is cleaning up some of these severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. Remember, some of them were set to expire at 3:30, so in the next minute. So for now, a lot of the potential for severe weather still is really getting confined to the higher elevations at this point. So we have additional severe thunderstorm warning that was just extended for Monroe County. It's for the same cell that did initially prompt that tornado warning. Still a strong storm, but they just extended this part of the warning until 3:45. So really, we're getting pretty close into North Carolina at this point. This section will cross over fairly soon, within the next 15 minutes or so. Getting close to Calderwood around 3:40, eventually making its way towards Fairfax at 3:49. But at that point, now we're starting to talk about North Carolina. So we'll watch that. But for now, still strong storm in parts of Monroe County, especially getting closer towards that Blount County line near North Carolina, actually pretty close to where the epicenter of the earthquake from last weekend was. So we'll watch that. But for now, this is where the stronger storm is at. We also have still some strong storms closer towards Sevier County, mainly the higher elevations as well. Some heavy rainfall and also the threat for some gusty winds. So you can see additional severe thunderstorm warning does continue, but I will say it's really for some gusty winds along this line. As it continues to get closer and closer towards North Carolina, our severe threat will diminish. It's ahead of that line where you have the potential for winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. Let me flip over towards the winds, and we'll be able to get a better picture. Not seeing something that's really jumping out for the winds. I mean, we did have that really good indication through parts of Sevier County and Jefferson County of some really strong winds blowing through. Still, ahead of that line. The potential's there for winds to gust around 60 miles per hour. And also the threat for hail has really diminished as well. While we still have pockets of stronger activity, some small hails possible, really your only threat of seeing hail at this point would really be with this storm down into Monroe County, and most of that is just going to be a damaging wind threat as well. So continuing to monitor the risk for damaging winds as this line continues to push through the area. We still actually have a stronger storm that's actually back to the west. Let me zoom in here. See this line that's pushing into parts of McMinn County once again. So still a special weather statement on it. It's not severe, but it's still on the stronger side. Some heavy rain right now. Could see winds gusting 40 to even 50 miles per hour. Sub-severe, but still we could even see additional gusty winds blowing through McMinn County towards Madisonville and Tellico Plains and Monroe County as well. Remember, this was really where we just had that lone cell move through. We haven't seen the line completely swing through the parts of the Southern Valley. So still the threat's there for some gusty winds. We'll have to monitor that, but at least that's staying sub-severe for now. We'll have to watch that closely though as it approaches I-75 once again, getting closer towards Athens. So for now, dealing with still a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, still the threat for some heavy rainfall, and dealing with a lot of thunder and lightning as well. So gusty winds are possible really through parts of Greene, Cocke, Sevier, Blount counties, also down in Monroe County, really for those right along the Tennessee-Kentucky state line, where we still have that threat for winds to gust to around 60 miles per hour. But we're starting to get up into the higher elevations now, and that's where we have the potential for some gusty winds. So we'll have to monitor that as well. Yeah.
It looks like the watch has now been dropped for portions of Knox, Loudoun, Roane, Anderson County, Morgan County. Looks like Jefferson, Granger, Hamblin, Greene has been cleared. So still ongoing for Cocke, Sevier, Blount, down through Monroe, McMinn, and even Bledsoe, Ray, Meigs County, even Cumberland County as well. So that'll still ongoing for a little bit longer till 4 a.m. I want to get you updated again on some of the pictures that we've been getting in. Dominic Webster is up in London, Kentucky, and look at the video of some of the damage, mangled, hard to even tell what that is. This is some power lines and fencing that is down in the middle of the road. A tractor trailer had been turned over due to the high winds, possible tornado with that. This was a building, a business that Dominic was telling me could have been some kind of a pet supply or a veterinarian building. You can see just it's destroyed, and then some of the kennels sitting out. So hopefully we can find these pets safely across the area. But he did report there are, he talked to the mayor up there of London, and that there are some fatalities, unfortunately, from these storms that moved through the area earlier this evening. And again, probably one of the most impressive pictures we saw was when that storm was in Somerset, Kentucky. This was from Kim Goff that sent us this photo. So just amazing. Still a little bit of fuel left for some of these storms. That's why it's ongoing. And we have some of the very heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning, especially Knoxville eastward. But again, just by looking at this, you can kind of tell where the worst weather potential still is. And that's going to be areas to the south and east of the Knoxville area. Now, there's still going to be the risk of some flooding. We've been seeing that in and around Knoxville, and that's going to continue. And power outages are still elevated across much of the area, the most, as you would expect, in and around Knox County, with over 16,000 showing up. But still some heavy rain, not going to be severe in and around Knox County or north and west, but still areas to the south, Matt, we'll need to keep an eye on, especially down there through portions of McMinn, eastern Monroe County, going into the Smokies there over into western North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. And a few updates for you. National Weather Service starting to send out some damage reports. So we were talking about that one storm that moved through Sevier County into Jefferson County. We had a quarter-size hail report in Kodak, and I just got another one near Douglas Lake in Jefferson County. So at least hail through parts of Jefferson County, even Sevier County as well. Also, just received additional thunderstorm damage reports, so wind damage reports. We had a few on the plateau, parts of Scott County near Winfield, also in Jacksboro near Campbell County. That was earlier this morning, but newer ones coming out near Mount Vernon in Monroe County reports of some damage, and also several trees down northeast of Etowah in McMinn County. And again, that would be for this storm. Let me move the radar back down. It would be for this storm that's really starting to push into North Carolina at this point. It's almost out of our area, but that would be the storm that prompted the tornado warning and produced that damage, several trees down in parts of McMinn and Monroe County. Now behind it, we still have a stronger thunderstorm moving through McMinn County near Nyota and Athens, sub-severe, but still winds gusting 40 to 50 miles per hour are possible. And we're still dealing with heavy rainfall right now along I-75. So we'll continue to monitor that. This warning for Monroe County set to expire in less than 10 minutes at 3:45. We also have this other warning, 3:45 expiration time as well. But I will say our best potential for gusty winds at this point is really close to, if not already crossed over into parts of North Carolina. It's the gusty winds out ahead of this initial line. So we're really close. We may still have the potential Gatlinburg and into the higher elevations for some gusty winds. That line hasn't quite fully made it that way, all that way yet, but the threat for gusty winds is really ahead of the line of rain. So really, before you see the rain, you're likely to notice the gusty winds. So we'll monitor some gusty winds, higher elevations of Blount County and Sevier County. So potentially Townsend, Wares Valley, if it hasn't already occurred. But that's really the area that we'll watch for the next several minutes, and then we'll be able to wrap up our severe potential for the entire night. We're quieter though, and like Ken mentioned, that severe watch, the tornado watch, was expired for Greene County. We still technically have a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:45 for the higher elevations, but you can see the severe potential. It's really wrapped up there. It's the line has broken apart, but also it's moved over the higher elevations into North Carolina. So that, again, our severe potential ahead of the line. Even in Cott County, still could have some gusty winds, even severe Blount, Monroe County, but other than that, we really, aside from the severe warnings, we're just watching this still stronger storm through parts of McMinn County could produce some gusty winds. Regionally, this is what's going on. We have a few showers still lingering back onto the plateau, some heavy rainfall right now. That continues into parts of southeast Kentucky, but the severe potentials, like Ken mentioned, is really south and east of Knoxville at this point. So heavy rain, the threat's there for still some gusting winds. We are receiving some reports of some damage. A new one just came out of some trees down near Lenoir City in Loudoun County. So that would be, again, from this line that continues to push really through parts of Blount County at this hour. So still some heavy rainfall right now near Greenback, but we're getting close, Ken. We're almost done with the severe potential.
We are, Matt. Just a heavy rainfall for sure still across the area. Another update, some photos come in and video from Dominic Webster, who was up in London, Kentucky from the storms that moved through earlier. He says he thinks this was some type of a veterinarian or a pet store. You can see just mangled siding. There were some cages out. Hopefully, it looks like they were for sale, so let's hope nothing was in these at the time. But here's some of the video inside that store, and you can see the roof looks like it's gone or at least torn off in spots. And there is a lot of damage within the store itself, a lot of things taken off the shelves. So kind of a little dark, I know, but it looks like that was the roof of this building, and this either a pet supply store or sometime a veterinarian or something like that. Again, this is from Dominic Webster earlier up in southeast Kentucky, where he is now in the London area. And as I mentioned, unfortunately, there are some fatalities being reported by the mayor of London, Kentucky, earlier this evening as those storms went through. Again, an update on the watch for you. Knox County, you have been cleared, so is Loudoun and Roane, Anderson northward, but still ongoing for Cox, Sevier, Blount, Monroe, McMinn, Cumberland County, Ray, Meigs, Bledsoe. You're still under the tornado watch until 4 o'clock. What are we talking about? Another 20 minutes from right now, so we'll see if that extends. Matt, I thought I'll let you double check. I thought I saw it. They may have extended it till 4:45.
We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning, if
Okay.
that's what you're referring to.
No, I
That one
meant
is
the actual
until-
watch. I thought they extended the tornado watch, but tell us about the warning.
We'll have to check on that one. But
Okay.
we do have a severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30. This one was just issued for parts of Blount County and also Monroe County. Until 4:30, it's really for this storm that's really east of Madisonville at this point. Some gusty winds with it, even some hail. Our computer is estimating hail size is less than severe, less than an inch, but still some nickel or dime size hail will be possible. And the estimated movement is east-northeast at around 50 miles per hour. So already it has that momentum, and eventually it could produce some winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. The virtual threat index for it is a 4.1. So this is one of our stronger storms that's still in place in parts of the area. So moving through Monroe County at this hour, getting close to Citico Beach around 346 actually, by Union Grove around 347, Tallahassee around 350, and Chilhowie around 353. So Monroe County, Blount County, still the potential for winds gusting of around 60 miles per hour. New severe thunderstorm warning issued. It expires at 4:30. It's really for this heavy rain that's pushing through, eventually moving into North Carolina. We were watching this storm. This was the one that prompted the tornado warning initially, but now that one's crossing into North Carolina and replacing it, still a stronger storm. It's really the line. The line starting to move into parts of Monroe County, so still dealing with some gusty winds. Again, the area hasn't been worked over completely. We only had that lone storm moving through, so still a strong storm moving through parts of Monroe County at this hour. And even, you can see, have to look closely here, this severe thunderstorm warning travels all the way into parts of Sevier County. So you can kind of see the forward progression of it would keep it into the higher elevations of Blount County, eventually into the Sevier County area. But for now, impacting Monroe County, and we'll watch it as it is still a stronger storm at this hour. So new severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this one continues until 4:30 this morning. Our other severe thunderstorm warnings are set to expire within the next 3 minutes. 3:45, it's again for this line that continues to push through the area. So still heavy rain through Cott County, Greene County, but not a good indication that we still have some gusty winds. We likely still have some gusty winds through parts of Blount County and also Sevier County. Would not be surprised through Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg if there were still winds potentially gusting to around 60 miles per hour. The other storm, again, that prompted that tornado warning initially, that's crossed over into North Carolina. We don't necessarily have to worry about that one anymore. There's still a stronger storm in McMinn County. There's a special weather statement on it. Let's see when this goes to. So this goes until 4:15. Sub-severe but heavy rain, and the threat's there for some gusty winds as well. Through Nyota and Athens down towards Etowah, where we actually had a report of some damage from this storm that's now in North Carolina. So some tree damage there reported in Etowah, and another sub-severe but still strong storm headed in that area. So severe storms do continue to move through parts of the area. Severe warning does continue until 4:30 now for this storm through parts of Blount, Monroe, and Sevier County. Our computer is estimating moving northeast, east-northeast at around 50 miles per hour, so moving pretty quickly towards Howard around 348. Again, Citico Beach around 351, and Chilhowie around 358. So we will monitor this warning. The other warning is still set to expire at 3:45. Haven't heard anything from the National Weather Service about extending it or issuing a new one. But we'll just have to wait and see at this point. But we do have one warning. It continues until 4:30, and our other two warnings are set to expire at 3:45. Hopefully we can see those get taken off the map. But Ken, I guess for now, we'll definitely focus in on this stronger storm that's still impacting parts of the Southern Valley. So we're not completely done with the potential for strong to severe storms.
Right, and I imagine the rainfall estimates are going to really start to pile up in those areas as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you some of the rain estimates we had that prompted the flood advisory stretching right through portions of Knox and Jefferson County earlier. That brighter yellow you see showing up, those are rainfall estimates over 2 inches. In fact, we're getting 2 nearly 3-inch rainfall estimates as that line moved through from right along I-40. So from Farragut all the way up towards the Dandridge area in Jefferson County, right there at the split between 40 and 81 as you're going over towards Bainbury and then eventually into Cott County near Newport. Let's go a little bit further to the south. Still some heavier rainfall in these areas of McMinn and Monroe counties, and those are going to continue to add up as well. We're getting well over an inch in some spots, but boy, there was certainly some heavy rainfall that made its way right through the central sections here of the valley. And I would imagine there's still going to be some standing water in many of these areas, so please be very careful if you're going to be traveling later tonight, early this morning. So again, we'll put the warnings back on here that Matt was talking about. There's still a lot of lightning as well. Over 765 strikes in 15 minutes just within the field of view here. But again, the stronger storms we're seeing, that's going to be in Monroe County, stretching right up against the foothills and into the Smokies, and that's going to go until 4:30. So we're still about 45 minutes from that. Small hail, certainly possible, but I'd say gusty winds going to be the biggest impact with that. Probably around an inch size hail can't be ruled out, and 60-mile-per-hour winds. In fact, we can take a look to see. Yeah, definitely some larger hail on the other side of in North Carolina with this cell north of Robbinsville, and the one that's east of Madisonville about to go out of Monroe over into Blount County. That definitely has some, maybe some half-inch size, 3/4-inch size hail with it as that's moving east at almost 50 miles per hour. So it's going to be close to Citigo Beach at 3:53, Pumpkin Center at 3:55, then Tallahassee at 3:56, and we'll get over to Chilhowie at on the other side there into Blount County at about just after 4 o'clock at 4:02. So could be some hail with that one. Definitely some hail, I'd say, with this one into western North Carolina, north of Robbinsville. But that's over in North Carolina out of our viewing area. So, yeah, still not done yet with our severe threat. Unfortunately, I'd say our tornado threat may be winding down, but still going to be some pretty strong winds, obviously, potentially, with this, and heavy rainfall. I think that's definitely going to be a bit of an issue. Let me take a look at the cameras real quick in Gatlinburg while I've got you here. Live look at the water just piling up on the landing here in Gatlinburg downtown, and you can see it in the streets. So this could easily lead to some flooding, as we talked about. This rain falling as quickly as it is, standing water easily on some of the roadways, so be careful traveling. Let's take a look here. This is Gatlinburg Sky Park, so a little bit higher up in elevation. Surprisingly, not as windy as it was earlier, but certainly some very heavy rainfall coming down still in some of those areas. Let's take another look. What do I have here? That's the Gatlinburg one again. I think I still have Knoxville, so a little bit quieter, at least looking towards the west compared to earlier. Again, our watch now, the tornado watch has been dropped for portions of Knox County and areas to the north, which is good news. And we're running about 12 minutes until this watch is dropped. I did check, Matt, and it was 4 o'clock that these will expire. So as of 4 o'clock, we should see all these go away. But that doesn't mean that, the severe thunderstorm threat, that those warnings we have, I think they went until, was it 4:45, Matt? 4:30. I think it was
4:30 on this morning.
So 4:30 for some of those warnings that he was showing you there. So that will go past the point of when the watch is supposed to expire, but we'll see just how quickly this moves. So I think this is the only one we have left in our area right now. So it's this one for extreme northeastern Monroe into Blount County, and that does go until 4:30. We'll see if it goes for that long. As quickly as these storms have been moving, they're moving east at almost 50 miles per hour still. That's showing 45. So worst part of that storm right through here, going to be some small hail with that near Tallahassee at 3:53, Chilhowie at 3:57, Cades Cove, one of my favorite places, at 4:10, Sunshine at 4:16, and Kensal Springs at 4:16 as well. So what this is showing is that 90% chance that there is at least some hail with that storm, and a 40% chance that it's severe hail, meaning an inch in diameter or greater. I would say it's probably going to be a little on the smaller side, maybe some pea-sized hail, but there could be some larger hail within it. But winds are certainly going to be a bit of a concern, maybe gusting up to 60 miles per hour, which is why the severe thunderstorm warning for that area was released across the region. But again, Dominic Webster, he is up in London, Kentucky. We talked about that. checking in on the damage from the storms earlier in that area, and there have been numerous reports, not just in the London, Kentucky area, but also back towards Somerset. 2 separate tornadoes look like moved through those areas earlier this evening. There have been some confirmations of fatalities in the London area. That is coming from the mayor of London, Dominic Webster, spoke to him. I'm sure he's going to have an update for us coming up on Good Morning Tennessee, which starts at 5 o'clock, so about an hour from right now. But still, the severe thunderstorm warning ongoing a little bit longer here for Monroe and the Blount counties. That goes until 4:30, so that's another 40 minutes from right now. We'll see if it goes that long. But Matt, other than that, I think that's probably going to be it, thankfully, for the night. But it has been very active across the area, for sure, with very heavy rainfall. Probably still going to be a bit of a concern, at least for a little bit longer across the area.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at some of the TDOT cameras, you can see the water getting sprayed up from the cars that are just on the road. So hydroplaning, that will be an issue through the morning. So, of course, if you see a flooded roadway, always remember, turn around, don't drown. Take it a little extra cautious this morning. It can be challenging to see a flooded roadway at night. Of course, the sun's not up, pavement can be washed away, and that's why we say turn around, don't drown, because you can't tell what the road situation is like underneath the water. You can't tell how deep the water is. So that's something we'll have to watch out for as we head really through the morning into the late morning hours, but we'll get a better picture once the sun comes up. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for parts of Monroe County. This is the only warning that we have left. This is the strongest storm that we have. Tallahassee arriving around 3:55, Calderwood right there at the top of the hour at 4 o'clock, Cades Cove around 4:12, and Sunshine by about 4:18. Still the threats there for damaging winds, even some hail with this storm system, and the heavy rain as well. We're also still seeing really heavy rain back towards Madisonville and Athens. That is a sub-severe storm, but still there could be some gusty winds with it, 40 to 50 miles per hour. And of course, we're still monitoring that risk for some localized flooding. And that's going to be something that we'll have to monitor really as we head through the next several hours, because if we already have flooded roadways, we still have several hours of rain moving through the area. It's still raining in parts of the area where your severe threat ended an hour or two ago. So we'll be monitoring that risk really as we head through the morning. And Ken, I can't remember if we mentioned this, but the latest update from the National Weather Service in Jackson, Kentucky, reported damage actually at the London Corbin Airport in Kentucky. So from that same storm, that tornado, I forget if we mentioned that.
Yeah, I saw some photos that were incredibly impressive of some of the power of the storm that moved through there. Damage to a helicopter, to some of the buildings as well, and as Dominic showed us earlier, in and around all of London, Kentucky, there are numerous reports of damage across the area. So we'll continue to take a look at that, especially as we get closer to sunup and beyond. They're being extremely careful up there, of course. There are a lot of down trees and power lines across the area. It's going to take a while to get that cleaned up. The good news is the weather does look much quieter as we go through the rest of the weekend. Saturday will be dry. Just breezy and warm. Temperatures will stay in the low to mid 80s, but at least it's going to be dry and give people a chance to get out and assess things and clean up as needed, especially up there in portions of southeast Kentucky. Again, most of that was just out of our viewing area. London's not quite in our viewing area, but we know that we have viewers that are in southeast Kentucky. They may have friends, relatives, or maybe live up there in the London area and back towards Somerset as well. Again, a recap for you till 4:30, severe thunderstorm warning ongoing with this cell that's almost out of Monroe County. It's right on the border between Monroe and Blount County as we speak, moving fast, moving at about 50 miles per hour off to the east-northeast. Gusty winds and hail, probably the biggest concern with that storm as it's moving from Madisonville. That's just heavy rainfall, but where the stronger winds were with that cell, again, just west of the Calderwood area. So Calderwood itself, you're at 4 o'clock, 6 minutes from right now, Cades Cove at 4:10, and Tuckaleechee at about 4:15 as that's moving towards the foothills and eventually higher elevations of the Smoky. So really some strong winds potential with that. That's going to be our biggest threat. Matt, that should be the last gasp of these storms kind of making their way through our area at this time.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. And I don't know if you saw the message, but the latest update from the National Weather Service was they're thinking the tornado threat is over, like we mentioned already, but we still have just this one severe thunderstorm warning in effect. We'll take it seriously, of course. Damaging winds are the main concern, but I'm showing you the hail potential here. We've mentioned this several times this morning, where the yellows and oranges start to show up. You have a better potential for seeing hail. So you're right near Citico Beach at this hour. Severe thunderstorm warning continues right there along the Blunt-Monroe County line. So the threat for damaging winds, even some hail, is possible. Our computer's estimating the hail size is roughly around subsevere, less than an inch, so that's some good news. We'll take that. But the severe warning does continue. So right in the area of Chilhowie and Tallahassee at this hour. Up next would be areas like Happy Valley, Cades Cove, and over towards Proctor as well. So we'll have to watch this as this cell moves out of Monroe County and moves back into Blount County, really the higher elevations of Blount County. We're talking about areas south of Maryville. Maryville's fine, Louisville's fine, Alcoa, Rockford, you're fine. You don't have to worry about this storm, this severe storm. It's really heading into the higher elevations. So Happy Valley, Chilhowie, for example. Townsend, though, I would pay attention to this storm. It's in Monroe County right now, but if it does maintain its strength, you could get impacted by the storm. Still, the threat's there for some hail and some gusty winds as well. But at least the National Weather Service is saying, and we agree, that the tornado threat is likely over for the night. So we'll take that. We just have this one warning that's still in effect, but we also have a storm that's subsevere, but still strong regardless. Heavy rain right now, really from the Loudoun Monroe County line through Madisonville, down into Nyota and Athens. And up next for some of this heavy rain would eventually move into Etowah and Tellico Plains. So still, the heavy rain threat is what we will eventually shift gears to really during Good Morning Tennessee when we get things going at 5 o'clock this morning. But we'll be watching the threat for ponding on the roadways over the course of this morning until some of this water starts to recede. So it's a low flood threat, but there could be some high water, especially in flood-prone, low-lying areas this morning. And that rain would already be there. And we do have additional rain back impacting still a lot of the area. The severe threat may have ended, but notice all the rain that's still falling north of 40. While we may be drying out slightly in parts of McCreary County and Fentress County, all this rain still falling, and still, if we have high water somewhere, we're likely going to add some water. Not substantial amounts, but adding water obviously doesn't make the situation any better. The heaviest rain right now is really south of Knoxville. In fact, it's even really south of Loudoun County, moving through parts of McMinn and Monroe County into Blount County as well. We still have the severe warning, the severe warned storm that continues to push through parts of the area, the higher elevations there into Blount County, starting to cross over from Monroe County into Blount County. The threat's there for some hail and some gusty winds as well. The heavy rainfall is also a concern. So this is our one warning. This is the one we'll focus in on. Everyone else, especially to the north of 40, you're good to go to sleep peacefully through the night, even though we likely still have some rumbles of thunder around. Let's go back to the radar here. We'll zoom back out for just a second, turn back on the lightning counter. And most of the lightning's actually focused in on where still we have the severe potential. Through the southern valley, still a lot of lightning being reported, but still you can see some strikes. We have a few near Morristown, also closer towards Greene County, Cott County. So still some isolated rumbles or two, but the highest lightning, or the most frequent lightning strikes are occurring in the Southern Valley right now. I mean, almost 570 lightning strikes just in this camera shot from this one storm here and also this storm that's now really moving into North Carolina. So heavy rain, rumbles, lightning, that threat for damaging winds, severe thunderstorm warning does continue for parts of Monroe County and Blount County until 4:30 this morning. So roughly 30 more minutes for this warning, and still that threat there for some damaging wind gusts to around 60 miles per hour. Ken, let's go back on over to you.
Yeah, Matt, again, you kind of watch the whole line make its way across our area from this evening, just around 1 o'clock to now. Hasn't taken long, 3 hours. It's come from the plateau all the way into the Smokies as we speak. Everything in the yellow boxes, those were severe thunderstorm warnings. Had a couple of tornado warnings earlier up into Kentucky, but we're almost done, as Matt mentioned, with the severe threat moving out. But there's still some rain behind this that could cause some ponding on some area roads. roadway. So just about to expire here, coming up in the next minute. We'll see this disappear. So we do think that, again, the tornado threat has ended, but still the risk of some strong to severe thunderstorms, especially areas to the south and east, that could produce some isolated wind damage, maybe even some small hail across the area. So that is about to expire. An update on the power outages across the region: 16,000 showing up in Knox County, 100 in Blunt, 900 in Cock, just updated here, 5,000 Greene and Jefferson. Not a real surprise with that line as it went through. 2,500 Hamlin and Union, 3,500 in Granger, even 5,500 up in Harlan. So not a real surprise. We're seeing this many power outages across the region as that line of storms move through. And there's the update for you. The tornado watch has now been canceled across the area, which is good to see. But again, we'll stay on just a little bit longer until that severe threat completely clears out of the area. For those down to the south, again, this storm, I'd say there's some small hail possibly with this, but heavy rainfall and winds are still going to be a bit of a concern there in portions of northern Monroe County as this moves towards the east. We're not seeing that rotation like we were earlier, thankfully, but again, still the potential for some strong winds. And that is just really heavy rainfall between Madisonville, Acorn, over towards Chilhowie. So Acorn about 406, Mount Zion 409, Howard 412, and Citico Beach at 414. So we're seeing these storms move over some of the same areas that have already seen that heavier rainfall. And then this whole line is going to continue to move south and east over the next, say, 30 to 40 minutes. And really back to the west, we're just talking about some rainfall back across the region. Let's do another quick little camera trip around the region. We'll take a look at downtown Knoxville, a little bit quieter, obviously, compared to where it was earlier when the storms moved through. Just some rain in our area. Still very heavy rainfall in the Gatlinburg area. This is Ripley's Aquarium of the Smokies. See the water just piling up, ponding on the landing here, and you see the wet streets. So that is going to be a bit of a problem as well. Can't rule out the threat for some flooding in some areas. We'll also take a look. This is Gatlinburg Sky Park, rain covered as well, and reduced visibilities because of the heavy rainfall that we've seen in those areas. So still going to see a bit of an issue in some spots, obviously, over the next little bit. I want to change one over to Blunt Memorial Hospital. Earlier, saw some gustier winds with that. Really just seeing some rainfall. There's the street. Back over through here, that's where Maryville College is. So not a lot of traffic, obviously, this time of night, but a little bit quieter compared to what it was earlier with the gusty winds. Still seeing some lightning at times off in the distance. And that shot is looking back more towards the west. The way it is. So again, a little bit quieter in some spots where the tornado watch has been cleared from the entire area, but as they mentioned, still the potential anyway. Notice from McMinn County, Monroe County, and right up against the higher elevations of Blount County, still some very heavy rainfall. Hey, upstairs, Chris, if you want to go ahead and turn off the generator, we'll be okay here. The way it's looking, I think we're done with the lightning and severe threat in the Knoxville area that could cause our power to go out. So whenever you want to turn that off, that'll be fine. Again, they have what's called a special weather statement with the storm that's back into McMinn County, but severe thunderstorm warning still continuing for the northern half of Monroe and into Blount County as well. But Matt, won't be much longer till that storm pushes its way all the way to the east, and we'll be able to let everybody go to bed and have hopefully a nice night's sleep. But really, if you're north of that line, so Loudoun County, north and west, it's okay. The severe threat's over with for the night.
Yeah, some good news there. And also, the storm that's still prompting the severe thunderstorm warning, it is set to expire at 4:30, but it's not looking as strong, at least with the few scans that have come in over the last several minutes. I mean, we had remember, the yellows and oranges showing up right there on the Blount-Monroe County line. Not necessarily there anymore. So not as high of a potential for some hail, not as high of a potential for some damaging winds. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue regardless. We'll monitor it because sometimes these storms can strengthen up, but that is our strongest storm that we have at this hour. We still have heavy rain though through parts of the Southern Valley, and the threat is there For some gusty winds, the severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 4:30 this morning, but most of this is just going to be, at this point, heavy rain with a chance at some gusty winds gusting to around 60 miles per hour. We really just need this line to fully clear the area, and then our severe threat will be over for the night. Still, heavy rain through parts of McMinn, Monroe, even into Blount County. The opportunity for severe weather is for Blount County is south of Maryville into the higher elevations, and also south of Greenback. So through Madisonville and points east in Monroe County, and then eventually into the higher elevations of Blount County. Still, severe thunderstorm warning does continue until 4:30 this morning, but at least we're not seeing the yellows and oranges showing up on our hail potential, because that's where you start to get a better opportunity for some hail to develop, and a good indication that it's a stronger storm bringing in energy for the storm to strengthen up. So we'll hopefully keep this going, a weakening trend as these storms start to exit our area and move into North Carolina, and will be quieter for the night. Still, the storm south of into parts of McMinn County, still a stronger storm, and still the threats there for some heavy rainfall. But really, areas to the north, you're a lot quieter. We're still dealing with rain. The threats there still for some flooding, but the heavy rainfall potential and even some gusty winds is mainly in parts of the Southern Valley right now. I'd say from McMinn, Monroe, into Blount County. Everyone else, it's a lot quieter than what it was even just an hour or two ago, as this line was really pushing through most of the area. You also see not a great opportunity, or not as high of a potential for some hail. And even looking at the winds, zooming into this area, a lot of the strongest winds have pushed into North Carolina. And you start to get into the higher elevations, the radar has a bit more difficulty spotting some of these winds, just based on where the radar beam is at. So we'll stick with it until 4:30. This warning does continue. No update from the National Weather Service that they're going to expire it or cancel it early, just double checking here. But numerous damage reports are coming in from the line of storms that was pushing through the area on the plateau, in the Smokies, across the Southern Valley. Several reports of trees down. In fact, let me zoom out here, clear this, and we'll turn this on for just a second. Obviously, we're in the middle of the night, so as we get a bit more daylight, we'll start to see additional reports come in, but you can see reports back across the plateau, these icons here indicating where we have wind damage reports, and you can see some in the Southern Valley, areas north and east of Knoxville as well, and also we'll get those damage surveys underway in parts of Kentucky. It'll take some time to get those done. National Weather Service will get a team together, they'll go out and survey the damage, and likely it's going to take some time because the opportunity for that tornado to be on the ground, it did look like it was on the ground for several miles in parts of Kentucky. So no confirmed tornado reports for that warning that was prompted roughly an hour or two ago for the Southern Valley, but we still have the severe thunderstorm warning. It does continue until 4:30 this morning. Heavy rain, the threats there for some gusty winds, but a lot of the potential for severe weather is starting to wind down for us and really exit our area. But still, you can see some small hail is possible through Blount County, McMinn, Monroe County, but most of this, again, is just going to be a damaging wind threat, at least until this warning is set to expire, which will hopefully be shortly. If not, it'll expire there at 4:30.
Hey, Matt, another thing I've noticed as well, you mentioned the threats down to the south, but also there's going to be a threat for some heavy rainfall. Look at just the past hour, the rainfall estimates. It's really begun to pile up through portions of McMinn and Monroe County as these storms have been moving over the same areas, basically time after time. So I can zoom in and show you some of the rainfall estimates there between Athens and the Madisonville area. These are going to be over 2 inches, I'm going to guess. There's 2.1, there's 2, and there's 2 1/3. So, that's a lot of that's probably an inch plus within the past hour. Making its way through some very heavy rainfall there. Also a little further towards the north, we talked about this earlier, that band that moved right through the downtown Knoxville area, right along I-40. These are 2 to 2.5 inch totals, some getting close to 3 in some spots, from Douglas Lake near Dandridge all the way through the Carter community, South Knoxville near the river and south of the river, and then also out west right towards Choteau and near the 40-75 split back towards Eaton Crossroads. So that is a lot of rain that we've had so far. So still some rain across the region, and this is going to continue to cause some concerns and until it stops, and it may not stop till somewhere in that 5 o'clock hour or after in some spots, so maybe closer to 6 o'clock before we see some drier conditions across the area. So still this warning, pesky, Matt. It's been ongoing there in southeastern part of our viewing area for eastern Monroe, really central and eastern Monroe County over into the foothills. I'd say what's left of that, there could be some small hail. Let's take a look. Maybe it would be very small, but it's certainly possible. Maybe pea-sized, slightly larger, wouldn't surprise me. But the bigger threat, I think, in the short term is going to be the potential for flooding. This is just moving over the same areas, and the line is not moving quickly enough to the south. So that is going to be a little problematic with some heavier rainfall. And you see the brighter reds and even the pinks showing up. So that would be our area where we may have some hail between Madisonville and Tellico Plains, but really heavy rainfall is going to be a huge concern with this across the area. Back towards the west, again, this is just rain. You may hear some rumbles of thunder, but thankfully our severe threat is over. We've been talking to Dominic Webster, who is up in London, Kentucky, where we had the storm that moved through there earlier this evening that did produce a tornado. It was very busy earlier this evening. I'll take the radar back and you can see there were a couple that went through. The first one that went through Somerset there, we showed you the picture of that. That did some damage in the Somerset community, and then it moved right through London. So that was the same cell. Then notice a second one formed back in the Somerset area as well and moved over the same areas in London. So it's going to be hard to tell which damage was done by which tornado, but it doesn't matter because there were two that went through the same areas between Somerset and London earlier this evening across the area there. And they were extremely powerful tornadoes, looking at not only the damage, but what they looked like on radar as well across the areas we've gone through the evening. But thankfully, our tornado threat is over with. They are seeing some drier conditions up into Kentucky. They're not seeing rain at this point, and it will be drier tomorrow as crews get out at sunlight and try to assess the damage and make sure that there aren't people still trapped in some of the debris from the storms that move through that area. But again, should be drier up into southeast Kentucky through the afternoon on Saturday, just on the breezy side, and everybody's going to have brisk winds, maybe gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour, and temperatures basically in the low to mid 80s throughout the day. Sunday looked mainly dry as well, just a little bit more in the way of cloud cover, but unfortunately some storm chances will return as we head into the first part of next week. So again, just a little bit longer on this warning, Matt, and then hopefully everybody will be able to go to bed if needed, or if you want to hang around for Good Morning Tennessee starts at 5 a.m. We'll have complete coverage of the storms and hopefully get an update from Dominic Webster as well, Matt.
Yeah, there'll be a lot to report on as more damage reports come in and National Weather Service meteorologists get out there and conduct the surveys. I did want to take you back about 30 minutes. This is 3:42, so 30 minutes ago. This is the warning we've been watching. It's set to expire at 4:30. But let me just play it in a loop. We've done this a couple times. You can see gusty winds along with the storm continuing to blow through Monroe County. Now we'll see it as we get closer to the top of the hour, closer towards higher elevations there in Blount County. You can see where some of the whites are showing up, winds gusting to around severe criteria. We're looking pretty far up in the cloud. The radar is based in Morristown, so we're looking roughly several thousand feet up in the cloud, but you can see the radar is at least picking up on some gusty winds. It continues to blow through Blount County, and really the gusty wind potential you can see really is pushed into North Carolina at this point, and that was back at 4:10. Let's go back to live radar, and really that gusty wind potential is really pushed into North Carolina at this point. Still, there's the heavy rain with the storm system, and like Ken mentioned, even some small hail, but this warning set to expire in roughly 15 minutes. I will say the better potential for some gusty winds has really moved on from Monroe County. Still, there's the heavy rainfall, and let's just double check, make sure we're not seeing some small hail is possible, but definitely we're not reaching that severe criteria. and not seeing the greatest potential for damaging winds, at least what it once looked like with this storm moving through. For now, we're just dealing with the heavy rainfall still moving through parts of McMinn County, Monroe County as well. And other areas are dealing with downpours. It may not be as heavy as what we're seeing in the Southern Valley, but you can see we have downpours through parts of Blount County into Sevier County as well, near Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg over towards Pittman Center, dealing with a few downpours and even still some storms, still rumbles of thunder as well. Back on the plateau, we have additional rain right now moving through parts of Cumberland County that stretches up into Campbell County, Scott County as well. Had some damage reported in both of those counties from the line of storms that rolled through and is still rolling through the area. But our severe potential, it's really associated with this line that's in the Southern Valley right now. The heavy rain, the threat for gusty winds. Severe warning does continue for another 15 minutes, and haven't heard anything from the National Weather Service about.
I think they're going to replace it with a special. It looks like a large special weather statement has now encompassed this whole area, so it will replace the severe thunderstorm warning. So I'd say at this point, I think we're done with our severe threat. Again, what a special weather statement basically is, it means that it's probably just below the criteria of a severe thunderstorm, which is 58-mile-per-hour winds or greater, or 1 inch in diameter hail or larger, combination or both of those. So I think what they're saying is it's probably below those limits. Flooding, I'd say, is still going to be the biggest concern over the next hour until these storms move out. So McMinn, Monroe counties, higher elevations of the Smokies and foothills of Blount County, watch out for the potential of some flooding there. But I'd say at this point, what we're going to do upstairs, you let me know when you're ready. We'll go ahead and go back to regular scheduled programming. And Good Morning Tennessee will start at 5 o'clock. So Chris, let me know when you're ready to do that. But okay, well, we'll go ahead and do that again. Thanks again so much for staying with us, staying up to date, staying safe. Get some good night's sleep for the rest of the night tonight. And again, we'll have the latest on Good Morning Tennessee coming up in less than 45 minutes right now with the latest from what's happened overnight, the latest from up into Kentucky as well. But we'll go ahead and send it back to regular scheduled programming now.